Hajime Shenji. I am simply popping in to do the Neuvillette story quest as well as a little Jellyfish event. And as the or in the title suggests, I think I'll do the event first because it's kind of tiny. Okay. Thank you. Just swallowed an ibuprofen. Gotta keep that fever down. Okay. Really need to be better at memorizing the Fahrenheit Celsius conversion so I know how to explain how bad my fever is in terms that people can understand. Okay. Sure, like, I did not mean to. Over there, a deposit is required. Okay. There we go. Interesting. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Mention of Yansheng Tea House is interesting. Because it's easily missed, but it is mentioned, if I recall correctly, that after Yelan took over the Yansheng Tea House, she abolished money gambling there. Which is interesting. It is kind of funny because it reminds me of the fact that apparently one of the first things that, of all, the CCP did was abolish gambling in areas they controlled, for better or worse. And I feel like that might be slightly a direct reference, given that Kuching was apparently arguably named after an official from that time period. Okay. Oh, so he's actually down on the lower level of Maritime Harbor. Okay. So we still have that huge tower in the distance. Okay, so the quest automatically started. Aguro, member of the Gardas. Expert panel, the Vomigo jellyfish sold by the defendant, significant negative impact on the local ecology, seriously disrupted the normal activities of native underwater organisms. Okay, interesting. Evidence is conclusive, and the defendant has been declared guilty of the crime of ecological destruction. Didn't know anything, wasn't one to release them. Conscious criminal intent, especially permitted to make amends. Oh, jellyfish within the waters, time limit sanctions may be waived. Fine would do. Hajime Tenchi, how are you doing? I feel much better today. Fever is lower than it was yesterday, and I've got a bit of my brain back. How are you doing? Shoot with me, precious time to argue, retrieval plan instead. So, all those quotation marks seem to signify that he was reading it off of a script. Yeah, but I think I'll probably be better tomorrow. It was actually sub-non-set. It was 2 days ago in the afternoon and evening when things actually started. Then the day after that, yesterday, I had a fever. And now everything is actually just... It's more manageable. I'm still isolating from everyone else in the house so that I don't, pointlessly give them coronavirus, but hopefully it should be over soon. My boys and I were not happy that I couldn't bring one of them on yesterday because of my unexpected illness. Sorry to make you worry, though. Treat them, shouldn't have sold them. Continue to investigate those who released them without permission, but in any case, you were the one who bred these jellyfish, one who sold them off the record. The buyers not to release them is also you. Frankly speaking, the sentence is already quite generous. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm just hungry for playing that game more. Having to miss that stream. Yeah, exactly. Couldn't get to see me scream more and die in silly ways if I don't play Dark Souls. Okay. To get some jellyfish and known better, should have signed a disclaimer when I sold the jellyfish. Since wrecked by the situation, won't be in the fortress of Parapede. Smartly watches him leave, and so we're gonna get commissioned to kill the jellyfish. Are the jellyfish quite pale? Understandable. Oh yeah, because it would be, oh right, it would be 1 AM. What kind of pizza? Was it good at least? All that. Commission or hire a diver takes time. Really gonna end up in prison. Business opportunity. Opportunity to help. Venture in a dive. Oh, Diavola with okay, that sounds really good. Now, you're making me hungry now. For the past 2 days, the only thing I've really eaten was... Yeah, well, it's spicy pepperoni specifically, right? Because they have lots of pepperoni pizzas here in the States, but they're not spicy at all. But the one pizza I had when I was in Europe was a Diavola pizza, and it was really, really, really good. We went to specifically, and I remember the name, and you could probably go there if you wanted to, actually. We went to a place called Anima e Core, which I assume is soul and heart, which is kind of the opposite of the order they say that. That's tough. That's impressive. But like I was saying, it was in Bologna. So if you ever go to Bologna, you could go there and try the Diavola pizza that I had 3-4 months ago. Yeah. Frankly, I feel like there's a song in America called Heart and Soul. I think it's actually also a piano duet that you sing along with. But, yeah, thank you. But also just, that ordering, and also just the fact that it's Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I'm just too Pokemon brained. I'm way too Pokemon brained. Saying you're one? Well, technically, we got a vision. Best diver among adventurers and the best adventure among divers. I wonder what Fremine would have to say if he were here. What happened? Bad luck, help me, payment won't be an issue, I promise. Tell me what's going on exactly first. Charge with something, nothing serious would help him. Oh, what card did you get? That sort, researcher in biology, bred a batch of glowing jellyfish. Interesting, because people have actually made bioluminescent fish out of fish that were not originally bioluminescent before. Now they're pretty, pets for some quick Mora. Real studying biology don't usually make much more, and that was Mora uncapitalized. Whatever you need to keep going. I play Genshin Impact, and I think that's bad enough. What kind? Did you get chicken nuggets, or a burger, or making any Mora? Easier than doing biology. Make some Mora. A lot of trouble upon myself. Pet Biz didn't think things through. Came to buyers about pets just to release them. Oh, interesting. Can look that up. I remember hearing that a lot of people were buying Happy Meals and not eating them to try to scalp the cards, which was hilariously stupid because they let you buy the cards directly. All it did was unnecessarily waste food. Happy Meal Pokemon cards. Okay, let me see. It's Sprigatito, Flacoco, and Claxley, who are the new starters from the new region. Burger and fries. Jean cheese. Oh, sorry about that. Parmesan cheese snack. I know they have lots of string cheese in America, which is just mozzarella, but rubbery and bad. I didn't know that. Okay. Citadel, Cetitan, Pikachu, Pawmi, Kilowattrel, and Pikachu are the only. Oh, they have Citadel and Cetitan, so both parts of the evolutionary line. That's interesting. Okay. Pawmi, Kilowattrel, Flittle, Sandaconda, it's old, Cloth, Blissey, Tandemaus, Cyclozar, and Kirlia. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's Kilowattrel, Pawmi, Cyclozar, and Cetitan. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, you can read. But Cyclozar is interesting because basically the two legendaries from the new games are basically a theoretical past and future version of Cyclozar. But they're the Paradox Pokemon, which are a really cool concept. But what's very funny is that they're literally paradoxes. They can't even have actually existed, and explicitly have no historical record, or any non-dubious existence. It's very heavily implied that they were basically created through wish granting. Oh, of Cyclozar, which is the sort of motorcycle lizard who you got a card of. Let me see. Parmesan cheese. Italian McDonald's. Yeah, I like it a lot. Blocks of Parmesan cheese. Pocket cheese. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. I didn't know that was a thing. That's incredible. You're trying to make me come back to Italy. That's just to release them. Oh. Felt bad, release them as they got their hands on them. Unfortunately incompatible with the ecosystem. Gather in glowing clusters. Wait available, ecological equilibrium, disrupt activities. Yeah, I did. It's a lot more cheese than I expected. Now, at least here, and the import price doesn't help, but Parmesan isn't cheap here. Oh wow. Oh my goodness, I feel like I need to go back to Italy. Simpler way, battled habit, only active during day or night, amount of light in the water, behavior disrupted. Okay, that makes sense. So it is kind of expensive, okay. Artificial lights, focus on the main points. Excuse me, unusual glow at various places. Clusters of these jellyfish. Release them, sold them, clean it up, or cut the numbers down to a safe level. The water to rock bottom. Exactly innocent, help me compensate generously in return. Okay. There we go. So that means going and retrieving the jellyfish. Some locations, catch as many as you can, not large, don't move quickly either. It's just going to be another swimming challenge. Work with them, pretty easy to spot them, light and swim around, should be able to find them. That's me, fortress are okay. Huh. I wonder what this says in the script. I'll just check this later. It's the same every time. Interesting. 7 challenges in total, and then compensation. Okay. Okay, so there's actually one in the new area too. A blueprint. Oh, okay. So the assignment was to copy a temple blueprint. As in, like a Roman temple? Because I remember we had to make... I don't think it was... It might have been Seneca or Pliny, I forget. But it was a Roman statesman who wrote a letter to one of his friends about his villa. And we had to try to draw a floor plan of it, and it was nearly impossible because it didn't have enough details, and I stayed up the entire night. It sucked, honestly. Oh, brutal. Well, I'm glad that it worked out in the end, at least. Already... Oh, so it's like we'd already done it. Fluorescent mucus. Mucus, harmless, retrieval process. Following me. Equipment, current, okay. Worry about catching the jellyfish. Oh, so you did it digitally. I had to do it physically and turn it in on paper. How to catch them, jellyfish, eye-catching light. When where they were released. Side when they're not looking. Hands now. Oh, yeah, right. I keep forgetting that that teacher keeps assigning you things that are not actually connected to your coursework. My condolences. So I should go, and I may as well just proc those teleport waypoints if I'm already going in this area. Also, I should probably change my... Oh, right, I forgot to put on my headphones. I knew I was missing something. Give me a second. I'm just over here, so I just gotta organize them real quickly. Second. Desperate. Oh, okay. Yeah, he must have been really happy to have an opportunity to use that knowledge again. You know, there's so many things, so many cases where something will come up that's tangentially related to something I did in college. And I'm just sort of, oh, yeah, this is just like, I know about this. Do you want to know? And usually, I mean, I'm not pushy about it, but it... Wait. Let's see. These headphones are not headphoning. What is up with that? What is going on? Did I put it in? I think I did put in the right one. The audio is just not outputting. That is strange. Arms work on the PC. Oh my goodness. That's so funny. Yeah, the headphonings are not headphoning. Let me see. New and technological issue. Just a second, let me check. That is the right one. Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a funny situation. What is... Oh, okay. Just a second. Did I... Should work now. Let's see. Okay, so it works now. It was just... You will call me stupid, and you'll be right. They weren't on. Oh, yeah. Unsurprising. That sucks. Let me see. Thankfully, I think the audio didn't cut out for the stream, just for me. Okay. Thank you. Goodness knows that if you did, I might just keel over and die. What really interests me is that that one bigger tower with the searchlights is not actually... It's not actually the fortress itself, and as I'm sure you know, and I assumed it was when I first went around there, but I didn't really check all that much on the map. It was interesting. It's not that much. You're not a monster, just a goblin. There's a crucial difference there. Okay. Decent HP there. Guess we can go and proc this teleport waypoint. We already got the eel over there by way of using the hat jellyfish ability. Oh, I think I'll probably end up there in the world quest, maybe. If you've already done that, I mean, you would know better than me. You're welcome. Defender of the Goblins. Okay. Let's keep on going, and that's just another way to the actual fortress, but it goes south instead of northwest. That is certainly something. Okay. Let's go over and start our first jellyfish challenge, which is right by a teleport waypoint, which would normally be convenient, but not really. Okay, okay. So, maybe you just haven't seen it yet then. Okay. Oh, what happened? Retrieval areas leaves the retrieval area. Turbulent rings move quickly. Bubbles swim quickly. Okay. While show their positions. Interesting. Collect enough jellyfish. Oh, yeah. Basically, all the friends who got me into the game have quit playing. So as of now, there isn't really a good way for me to get the co-op achievements. It's kind of sus. Oh, because they just kept killing you. This is so sad. This is literally so sad. Okay. See, there aren't that many more. I wonder if... Okay, so you don't have to get all of them, you just have to meet a quota. Wait. Oh, okay. Is in the new ones. That was collection area 6? Wait, okay. It wouldn't have been too bad to get all of them. Kind of wish they let us do that. So where is that one then? Oh, right, I totally forgot. Me when I'm sick. Okay. Submarine Canyon, Phenomena, release there. Okay, so it's the same for everyone. Understandable. Oh, okay. Now I need talents. I have all the gold ones he needs, I just don't have the silver books, but the gold ones are the harder ones to get. Though, to be fair, I'm not sure I'd be able to level him up instantly anyway, just because he needs OPET materials, which I don't necessarily have enough of. Oh, yeah. What about it specifically? So it actually made the monster disappear. So it's just one of them. Okay. Understandable. A few more of them. Okay. Keep on going. What happened? Okay. If we go through here. Okay, and that gave me more underwater stamina back. That was good. I like that some of them are just sort of hunts in an area and some of them are basically little underwater courses. That's cool how they vary it like that. Oh, that's weird. That case. Oh, yeah. That sucks. You were too good. Okay. That one over there, but also... See, that one down there is going to be number 2. Persistent Kreutz Ordo. 6. So you just did those then, or... What I find really funny, honestly, or very interesting, is the possibility that there might be a non-dream version of the Narcissan Kreutz Ordo that we find eventually. Some people are saying it might be in that tower in the area we can't go to yet. That it might be... Oh, smart, because if you aren't trying to actually get the rewards, there's no reason to do the highest level unless you want a challenge. Okay. Let's keep on going and get a little bit more. There we go. And on to the next. Oh my goodness, that... I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Amber and... Oh yeah, well... Amber is always going to be down there, sadly. Oh, no weapon. As in with a unleveled 1-star weapon? Is that what you mean? Okay, okay. Going this one is another course. So it seems like the odd-numbered ones are the courses. The even-numbered ones are sort of oh, random weapon. And I assume that most of them were literally not leveled at all. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you... I feel like I would stop enjoying that kind of quickly. Oh wow, okay, that's impressive. Well, that's impressive. Okay. Let's see, and on to number 4. Okay. This one just 35, okay. This one is down here. Well, that is... Even the basically free flat attack you get from just leveling characters probably... from just leveling characters probably would have been enough. So yeah. Can't think. Yeah. I gotta say that... Okay, what world level are you? What world level do you stay on? That's the real question. Because I can't imagine going about world level 8 with only 80 or so characters. I mean, only level 60, 70, 80. Well, I'm just curious, because you mentioned 60 specifically. And I was wondering what you meant by that. Okay. Okay, on to... I've already done 6, because we did that out of order totally accidentally. Go over to... Okay. Okay. Well, that's better than me, because I have a lot of characters who literally aren't leveled at all. Okay, so that's going to be our closest over there. Okay. You know, I have a lot of characters who I've left ascended once at level 20, who are 20 or 21 or so, because I just wanted the one free blue fate from leveling them. And who are they? Okay. Feel... Especially for reaction-based characters, it really is honestly important to get them to 90, if at all possible. Because there are a lot of people who talk about leaving their characters at 80 or 89, and to be fair, 89 is kind of, in my opinion, simultaneously less silly and more silly. Yeah. But the thing about it is that it gives you more characters to use for Overworld, but it gives you fewer characters to use for Abyss. And I care a good bit about Abyss. Because, okay, I'm just gonna say this. I actually have a really kind of hilariously big pet peeve with people calling her Kuki instead of Shinobu. Because the only character for whom that really makes sense, characters that make sense for, are Raiden and Yae. Because Raiden's descriptive lines refer to her as the Raiden's Shogun, and Yae's lines refer to her as Yae. You know, because she's based off of Yae from Honkai. But, you know, all of Kuki Shinobu's lines call her Shinobu. And given that she actually has multiple family members in game, that there's a Kuki family, though admittedly I actually didn't really know about it until today, so I haven't done her hangout, but one of the Shrine Maidens, Miyuki over here, was actually her older sister. Okay, understandable. Guess I just had to be a little mean today. Don't mind me. See, okay, I got one of them, but not the other. It's very fun to be able to just toss these big bombs around. I gotta say, I wonder if we're gonna get any more xenochromatic characters. Oh, interesting. Was it just mentioned on some fan-side or discussion? Or was it solely a matter of intuition? But as I was saying, what was I saying? Oh, that this one over here does that one just, let me see. It's just a dumb pet peeve of mine. Oh, and the otter over here. So are they all gonna go back to the otter place at the end? It is what it is. Ultimately, it's not that important. Okay, so wait. Are there multiple, or is it just strange? The otter is not ottering. Should have found a chest, but no chest? Okay. Huh. Well, maybe they thought they were being too nice to us by just giving us common chests for free. Okay, so that one is not an otter. It's just another... Some people call these Mora rocks, but, you know, they haven't been rocks since Samaru. More like little Mora capsules. Ow. Oh, goodness. I think it's different if it's openly kind of a nickname. I mean, not that it matters one way or the other. I think it's... One is just using a nickname, and the other is, you know, using, in my opinion, kind of an incorrect form of address. Yeah. So they're basically like underwater, you know, water-type capsules. I mean, though, to be fair, we don't actually know whether Mora rust or not. You know, we know we're created by the Gnosis, and they look like gold, but the jury's kind of out on whether they're actually made of metal. Okay. Let's keep on going. You know, I would assume they kind of are, given that, you know, Geo is not just the element of stone. It is actually the element of metal as well. It's all minerals, even if pretty much everything we've seen has been a lot more stony. I feel like it would be nice to get a sort of more metallic-focused Geo character. Okay. I don't think it's me. I think saying you didn't know is the meaner option. There's nothing wrong with a nickname. Okay. Yeah, because Noel's thing mentions the strength of stone. You know, Jade's green, Jade is a rock. You know, Ito is a stone club. Zhongli's pillars explicitly made of rocks. A metal bender? Well, to be fair, she mostly did rock. The thing I most disliked was that it was interesting how they tried to expand the lore in Legend of Korra, but they didn't do it all that well, in my opinion. They tried to give an explanation of metal bending, and basically what they said is it's basically controlling the impurities in the metal, which is why it's so difficult, which I suppose makes sense, but it's just sort of... Largely, stones are made of, at least in part, metallic elements to begin with. And I know it isn't really science, but I feel like it would have made more sense to say that it's basically just a paradigm shift in thinking, and it's a matter of sort of understanding, you know, control over Earth is control over minerals. It's unsubtle and clumsy, but in the end it's ultimately for kids. I mean, there's nothing wrong with something being for kids, but there is something a bit more wrong with people, you know, both the audience and the creators holding it to, I think unfair might be strong, but I would say improper standards. Okay, ecological recovery. Talk to Cassine. Okay. We can actually get a little bit of reward from this. Okay. I'm excited for that Dodoko puzzle event coming up soon. It kind of reminds me of the shuffleboard stuff in Valerian Mirage. Yeah. You know, everyone's a critic, especially me. Okay. Let's go and compensation, so we'll get our funny little globe. Lucky Glow Jellyfish donated. Gentle Glow Terrarium and Aquarium. Goodwill story about carelessly releasing them into the wild. Oh, so he was basically telling his own story and basically trying to cover his butt so more people didn't do the same. Yeah, tell me. Okay. Keep on going. Okay. Come on. Let's see. What is he gonna say to us now? And something hilarious just now, and what is? Happened. Retrieve jellyfish. Buyers did. Inspection. Bashes has been going well. Blessings. Buy more to release. Catch them. Sells them. Releases them again, making money. Any more trouble. Telling them harm them good. Wouldn't listen. Considered to be a good deed. Bad luck keeping the jellyfish in captivity. Took them into custody. Oh, interesting. Luck could run out. So an apology for them or their own good luck? Oh, goodness. You're a nicer person than me if you kept staying around that guy. In the end, thanks to you, his jail sentence, compensation, a little memento, and that's jellyfish ball. Not a glow, but a jellyfish ball. Oh, there we go. Smaller at 5 a.m. Do you have to explain that it was... Goodness. Unenviable situation. Smaller specimens, storage warehouse, specimens, and there were some in numbers. Some as a memento. Huh. Okay. Rest, breeding them, integrate into natural environments. Few of them clustering and glowing behavior. Pretty cute. Okay, let's not push him. Think about releasing them. Oh, goodness. Okay. So he's just gone now. Okay, so if we hadn't talked to him earlier, he would have disappeared and we wouldn't have been able to check out that dialogue. Insomnia meds. Yeah. Sorry to go through that. That cannot have been fun. It's just... There's such a thing as a healthy level of skepticism. It's not really a healthy level there. Okay. Bit more Mora. Level some up, and we've claimed all of our rewards. So by the time Rathesley comes around, we should have something like... Should probably be able to hit Soft Pity by that time. I'll see if I win that 50-50. Okay. So if I don't win that 50-50, then it's a matter of just continuing to roll and see if that guarantee ends up getting me Rathesley or Fiorina. Which at that point I'm kind of evenly split by. And not to talk too much about leaks, but it's the question between getting more capabilities and increasing existing capabilities. Yeah, exactly. It's... He clearly was not listening the first time around. I mean, maybe he's just forgetful, but honestly... Oh my goodness. I mean, there's a big difference between saying, always look on the bright side. I mean, but one, you already do that, and two, you can't really... It's not what they were saying. Two. What, as in not 1, 2... Oh, so it was just continued insensitivity. Well, that sucks. Sorry to hear about that. Okay. Okay. It's... in the end, he was probably trying to be nice. But at the very same time, learn to read the room. Okay. Looking, and this is... one over here, the Liffey region, and I wonder, what would that show me? I wonder if Neuvillette's 0 brain cells, are they at least funny idiots most of the time? Or are they at least funny, wholesome idiots most of the time? Because that changes whether they would just be aggravating or tolerable. Okay. So they're ultimately well-intentioned, but just a little empty-headed. Okay, I think I kind of get it more now. Okay, okay. Still not an enviable situation to be in. Okay. I do find it interesting how the new areas honestly have a lot more condensance crystals, which is interesting because, you know, Ellenhaus is not in the new areas. But I do like that it makes it easier to get in the new stuff. But I did kind of predict that, because with Inazuma, they put, especially on Seirai, there were a couple of patches with a lot of amethyst chunks, and a good deal fewer on the earlier islands, or at least they were kind of harder to get to. But it kind of disincentivizes farming for them initially, for better or worse. About the Ellenhaus thing, it's interesting. I do find it funny that when we got Neuvillette's drip marketing, one of the things that the Steambird tabloid person said was maybe Neuvillette's the only male Melusine, which is really funny because that's actually Ellenhaus, technically. There are some people who think that Ellenhaus is, you know, female because of, you know, the fact, you know, that Ellenhaus appears as a Melusine. Well, I guess you could make the argument that Ellenhaus is kind of a genderless being. I mean, that wouldn't be unfair, given that it's an abyssal creature without the ability to sexually reproduce. It's no problem, don't worry. If there's anyone who should be apologizing, it's me. But, as I was saying... So we can go here. As I was saying... I guess you could say that maybe it would be kind of like how Arlecchino is explicitly a woman, but also called father. But at the very same time, I think it's clearly supposed to be a sort of contrast in that kind of way. Yeah, exactly. And he's right. I'm not sure that Ellenhaus could really be considered draconic. You know, Ellenhaus is more like a big whale or a big shark. And I do like that Genshin has had variation in its dragons, while still keeping them all reptilian. Don't tell me. That would be bad for my moral edification. But, like I said... I could actually see some kind of connection. Because we do know that Tartaglia... I mean, the Cataclysm was 500 years ago. It's entirely possible, given that, you know, time is probably kind of weird and screwed up in relationship to the Abyss. But I could see, given that Tartaglia's whole, you know, trip to the Abyss and meeting the whale was, you know, a decade or two ago at most, that the whale was also a creation of gold. Maybe it's kind of like Albedo and Susbedo, where, you know, it was sort of a Ellenhaus prototype or backup spare. Yeah. Also, a lot of people are going very, very hard on the Rethesli-Clorind pairing, which is interesting. I'll say that. Okay. Sedaine, I think she was the one who showed up in his web event. That could be true too. That could definitely be true. I think we'll find out more next patch. It's definitely too early to say one way or the other. We can speculate all we like, but, you know, ultimately whatever the devs say flies, even if it isn't really predictable or quote-unquote thematic. Yeah. I think they work with both dynamics. But it is what it is. Like to take over the case yourself. I think the big thing is just that, to me, the sort of Navia-Clorind pairing that people go for feels kind of weird. Because from Clorind's character, she seems to be a good deal older than Navia. You know, not as old as her dad, but the fact that she engaged Kalas in a duel suggests that she's... You know, when Navi was still a kid, suggests that she's probably like a decade older than Navia. I'd say like Navi is probably like in her early 20s, and Clorind is probably in her early 30s. And, you know, not to wade into the poisonous waters of age gap discourse, But I feel like the relationship is more sort of like a role model and protege relationship than a sort of lover's relationship. I wouldn't say Navi is minor coded. I would say, I mean, there are no canon ages for anybody except arguably Fischl and Amber. For Amber, it's because of the comic and some things related to the comic. But, and Cole, I believe. I believe Cole also is a canon age. But, if you piece the dots together. And you can estimate that Scaramouche is somewhere in the ballpark of 500 years old because creating a puppet was a direct response to the Cataclysm. And to be fair, they haven't really mentioned that. It's interesting that the passing of time is explicitly something that happens but isn't really acknowledged. But, as I was saying, like, I don't think Navia doesn't read minor to me. I mean, she might be tall, but that doesn't necessarily mean, she's older than people who are short. But I mean, the fact that she is explicitly a person with experience working an adult job, that doesn't necessarily mean she is an adult. But I feel like the odds are better than good, for better or worse. I mean, in either way, it doesn't make a difference that pairing Corin and Navia feels... Yeah, exactly, like an uncomfortable sort of age gap. Or, not even in sort of a gross way, just the dynamic doesn't make as much sense. Yeah, exactly, an umbrella gun. But, and that's not to say that, I just prefer one pairing over the other because it's, one kind versus another kind, quote-unquote. I mean, for one, there are some people who pair Alhaitham with Nilou, and beyond just the fact that that is clearly an actually kind of weird age gap, I would say they just don't have chemistry. There isn't really anything that ties them together other than the fact that they work together in the final part of the Archon quest. I just don't see any kind of compatibility in that pairing. I mean, with Cyno, part of it is, that they have shared weapons and also that they have voice lines mentioning each other. But also just, Cyno is actually a silly guy. I actually really like... Yeah. But what I mean is, we've talked about it before, but what I mean is that there are some people who do it for the perceived dynamic in a way that just isn't backed up at all, in my opinion. But with Cyno and Nilou, like I said, what I like with Cyno is that he's incredibly different in his story quest and the Archon quest versus just events. I mean, when he's not on business, he's a silly little guy. A lot of people are actually like that. That kind of, change in mentality between being off the clock and being on the clock is something that a lot of people actually do. It's actually very psychologically realistic. But the thing with that is that, there is something to be said with opposites attract. But honestly, Alhaitham does not have any real chemistry, established relationships with anyone other than Kaveh. I mean, in the end, there's just no way, in my opinion, that Alhaitham is straight. Or in the sense of, I find it hard to read him as being interested in women in any way. Yeah. But what I mean is, fanfiction is one thing, but good fanfiction is putting characters in non-canon situations, but keeping their personalities and reactions faithful to canon. All ship fanfiction is ultimately non-canon for obvious reasons, but... that doesn't mean it has to be out of character. Alhaitham is... He might be only interested in his books, or he might only be interested in his roommate. But there's no way he wants to just... You know what I mean. Case yourself, in what case is this? それは left of the guards. Then なぜですか? Fair, fair, fair. I've read a decent amount of fan fiction. Not nearly as much as you, I would 100% say. But I've read a decent amount enough that I think I could say, you know, this is the difference between a good fan fiction and a bad fan fiction. About Tiger Chief Justice out of this case on his own. Precedented, acting like a private detective. Yeah. You talking about killing stalking? I remember I sent a friend of mine a picture. Someone had bought a secondhand DS that was modded. And the modded background was a killing stalking panel. And they were just like, this console is cursed. How can I get rid of it? Private detective. Good! It's good that you don't want to read that. It's terrible. I mean, there are limits to which you can say that this is okay because it's not real. This is okay because it's fantasy. Especially because the human brain is also straight up terrible at distinguishing between fantasy and reality. If you act out a role long enough, the role will seep into the rest of your life. It doesn't happen as much anymore, but back in the 20th century in Hollywood, there were a lot of examples of people who played romantic leads on a movie getting married afterwards because it made them think that they had a romantic connection. And I don't even mean that it was necessarily false, you know. Connections like that can happen anytime in any way, and just because something starts kind of silly doesn't mean it can't become more serious. But there were a number of people who realized we got married because we were pretending to love each other when we actually didn't. Yeah. Well, it isn't really your fault then, is it? New industry, amazing. Yeah, exactly. Amazing detectives. Amazing. Oh! It would be... I get why they don't really bring back characters from other regions. Because, you know, mentioning... It would be pretty cool if we got Hazer to show up here. But I think a lot of it is also just... When they do events like that, I'm pretty sure I would bet real money that they basically just sort of bring the voice actors for a region into the studio more or less all the same time on some kind of schedule. You know, they're busy people, so it's hard to fit it in. So just doing things kind of out of turn would be, yeah, exactly, untagged, all sorts of things, you know, and when people get mad at you, you know, what do you expect? You didn't tag it. But, like I was saying, what was that saying? Something about, yeah, it'd be cool if Hazer came back. I do think, you know, there is a reason I haven't checked leaks about who shows up and has lines in the final part of the Fontaine Archon quest. Because if we get a final court case, I want Yanfei to show up. Probably won't happen, but as long as I don't know for sure, I can hold out hope. Apologize, help for this matter. Investigate personally. Proceed. A threat letter. Okay. Threat letter. Not the racial harassment. Yeah. I gotta say, as someone with a fully built, as in all talents at 9 and decent artifacts for Yanfei, C6, she is legitimately the character I have rolled most. She used to spook me on pretty much every banner she was not on. That's something like C23 Yanfei at this point. But, you know, she is a vaporized, reliant DPS. I mean, you can build her for Overload if you want to be really silly, but... when you have a character who relies on multiplicative reactions, which, to be fair, are just, you know, melt and vaporize, they need good base numbers in order to be viable. And Yanfei just does not have good numbers. Yeah, she's great, but not for gameplay. I used her a lot when I was first playing the game, because I was saving up all my intertwines and my primos for Raiden, Because I wanted to just roll for Archons and Harbingers. And eventually I realized, I have enough Primogems that I don't have to budget like that, and I don't really want higher cons. But I skipped Ayaka, Yoimiya, Kaza. That one I actually kind of regret, even if I got him eventually, for Raiden, who I actually didn't build for 6 months after that because I hadn't done Seirai Stormchasers. But she was one of the characters I got from Standard. Yeah! And I've rolled on the other banners she's been on, but I haven't gotten her. I mean, in the end, I didn't know at the time how good she was. And to be fair, nobody really did. Because the community wasn't as good at, theory crafting around leaks. But I do regret not getting her. She would have made many things easier. And to be fair, she is very kind of investment reliant. She arguably really wants a 5-star weapon, because it's... all of her damage is coming from attack and crit. She is a freeze DPS. Okay. She was basically doing all of her team's damage. Yeah. Well, it's still true. Quiet at the stage, huh? No idea why you're so hung up over this. Don't think we'll see her in this quest. I did get spoiled on the fact that apparently Arlecchino might show up here, either in passing or maybe as a mention. Yeah. I think Neuvillette C1 is a decent power boost, but... and to be fair, it would really help his synergy if he works well with Furina, because with just the elements you have, you'd only be triggering 2 reactions. But what's honestly really funny is, if you use him against enemies with an inherent aura, like the Emperor Fire and Iron Crab, you can trigger a 3rd reaction on the enemy by just proccing Vaporize on its Pyro Shield. And the fact that Neuvillette applies Hydro pretty quickly means that he's already a really good choice for fighting that boss. Okay. Sorry. Reporting to her. Okay. Official, come back in later, deliver this note to her. Oh, okay. As in, showed off basically being able to get full stacks without really relying on... I don't know. Because you might have taken it as me assuming you just did not understand things, and I want to clear up any possible misunderstanding. Since reaction, investigate stuff personally, special about this case. Mada wakaranai. Maybe certain past events. Okay. When he says I cannot tell you just yet, the translation is honestly kind of bad. Or unclear. He says, Mada wakaranai. Okay, good. I like that kind of humility. Which basically means he still does not know. He means I cannot tell you just yet, in the sense that I can't tell you because I don't know. But without that clarification, it possibly makes it seem like I cannot tell you because it's a matter of confidentiality, which is not the case, at least from comparing the Japanese and English lines here. Maybe the original Chinese is different, but I don't know Chinese. Conflicts of interest, all risks in advance. Okay, but that kind of implies a matter of confidentiality, so something is up here. Conflicts of interest, what's going on? Not my intention to keep you in the dark, revisit those memories, and collect my thoughts. Yeah, this seemed a little clumsy. Yeah, 3 tongues. English for sure, Japanese kind of, and Spanish that is growing weaker by the day. 400 years ago, I annexed Fontaine, UNEX, institutional reforms. So I assume that would have been something along the lines of, Melusines getting allowed in places. English and Italian.
当時私の周り
She
には信
trusts
頼
two
できる者
subordinates
が
just
そう
so
多く
capable.
な
A
かった
Melusine. National Security and Surveillance Patrol.
能力と品格に優れた部下が2
Honestly,
人いた
it is interesting.
それがメリュジーム
I
の
like
カ
that
ロ
they
レと
don't do it all
特
that
巡隊の
much
隊長ボ
because
ー
it
ト
means that it has effect when they talk about it. But when long-lived characters mention people who they were friends with who are long dead. Well, if you can actually communicate with the animals in question, maybe. The people had praise from you. Wasn't able to protect them. So some girl's identity political unrest.
カロレの立場を利用し
Oh,
て
more of my
政治的な
power.
騒ぎを起こしたのだ
So this
私
was
からより多くの権力を手放させるためにな
Certainly.
結果
Identity, Carol
カロレ
taking
は
her
自
own
害
life.
し
Oh
ボ
wow.
ートランは追放され
Oh
た
my goodness. Suihosade.
あの件以来
Exile. Okay.
私はメルジーヌに関わる事
Melusines.
件をより慎重に扱うようにしている
They just mistook you for a
メル
cat.
ジーヌという種族は
Good life away
も
from
ともと
human
世間から隔
society.
離かつて
Wishes
カロレを含む
Carol
一部の
bring
メ
them
ル
to
ジ
the
ーヌ
court
から
of Fontaine.
彼女らをフォンテーヌ邸に連れて行ってほしいと頼ま
Fontaine
民衆からすれば
So
メルジ
thus,
ー
special
ヌは
bond, whatever
私
they
と
do
特殊
can
な
be
関係
traced
にあ
back to
る
me.
彼
So
女
they
らの一挙
blame.
一動すべてが私と関係しているように見えるのだ
Interesting. Okay. No problem, no problem. I honestly couldn't tell.
これを利用して攻めてくる者も多い
Grudge against me, exploits for conflict over Melusines, lay the blame on
メ
me.
ルジーヌ
A
に関
grudge,
人々の
after
私
his
に対
life,
する
it
態度は
is.
気にしていない
Conspiracy affects the innocent.
人たち経験
What
し
a
たこ
nice
とがあ
guy.
るからこ
Happened
そ
once, make sure it does
今
not
回
happen
はそれを
again. What do you have to be the one investigating? Guards, more shall say. Also, depends how long this story quest takes. But I would like to ideally also do Abyss today. Maybe, we'll see. Probably should have mentioned that in the schedule. It's okay. Let's patrol. What's going on? It is interesting that the Fontainian police has 3 separate guards, you know, 3 separate divisions. I guess it'd kind of be like normal beat cops, you know, kind of like a SWAT team, and, you know, these are more like the CIA or FBI. I never even thought about that. I didn't even know he
こ
had
れ
a
は過去の
bow.
経験をもとにした判
Next
断
time I
だ
see
が
his back, I'll check.
私に悪意を
Still
抱く
do
集
not
団が
belong to the
フォン
same
テーヌの
department.
政治システムは複雑だ
Complex, multiple different
その利益
factions.
つまり
Let me see. Oh my
よ
goodness,
そ
I
人で
just
ある
missed a
私が
chance.
調査をした方が
Outsider
よ
personally
り多く
took
の
on
ト
the
ラブルを
case,
回避で
technically
き
an
るというわ
outsider.
けだ
Yeah, and when I'm looking at him, I'm paying more attention to his big laser. Yosobito, outsider, Chief Justice, outsider because he's the
そのよ
Hydro
うな困
Dragon.
惑が生まれるのも仕方ないだろう
Responsibilities and perception.
だが君たちは私
Now,
の
my
正
true
体を知って
identity,
いて
kind in other nations.
他の
Hydro
国で
Dragon
も私の同
Sovereign.
類にあったことがある
Yeah, what about it? The fact that it actually applies Hydro? You know, what? It's cool. You know, I pay attention to a lot of other things, it's just, I miss the bow. Looked at his horns and the tassels that show up only when he's using his laser. I mean, it is connected to the laser. Oh, if it's actually raining, it actually stops the rain? Holy crap. Okay, it's a shame that I don't have... I wonder if it would work on Yashiori. I'm sure it wouldn't. You know, I can't check it now because I did that quest over a year ago. But, you know, I'm using him a bunch of these days, so I could definitely make it work. Yeah, exactly. What's really, really interesting about this voice line is that it might be a translation kind of thing, but the plural here, the plural noun here implies, is the only other one we know for sure is a sovereign. Yeah, and that's why I was wondering, you know, it would be kind of weird if you were able to stop perpetual rain tied to a quest like that. That sounds like it would break some things. Okay. But the other's noun choice here implies, because we've only met one dragon that we know for sure is a sovereign, and that's Apep. But that implies that at least one of the other dragons we've met, you know, Azdaha and Dvalin are, at least one of them is also a sovereign. Both of them are at least putative. What I do find interesting is that now that we know, there's kind of a succession mechanism. You know, I think it's possible for both of them to be successors, or at least sovereigns. My money would honestly be on Azda being an original sovereign, because he's established to be incredibly old. but we have no idea how old Dvalin is other than he was around during the Cataclysm. I would think that Dvalin, especially that, given that Dvalin, honestly, Dvalin is not as sort of cataclysmic as Azdaha, because Azdaha was explicitly stated to basically be the size of much bigger. I would assume that basically what it means is that the tree that we see that looks like his tail reflects his original size. And that's a good deal bigger than Dvalin. Given that the one that we know for sure is a sovereign, Apep, literally occupies the entirety of the Eternal Oasis space, which is interesting because I feel like we should be able to get rid of that tornado eventually. Because I want to know whether Apep was basically inside the Oasis, or that the Oasis is basically a pocket dimension, and that the inside of the tornado is actually just normally just sand. Yeah. Yeah. But I like Dvalin. But he doesn't have to be a sovereign to be a good character. It would be nice if he was a sovereign, but it would also be nice if he was just another dragon who did cool things. I think my money is, like I said, on Azda being an original sovereign who has survived until the present day, and Dvalin being a successor to the previous sovereign. And I think it could be interesting if it was something that was erased from Irminsul for some reason, given that I'm also very partial to the theory that Istaroth was the original Anemo Archon, and that Venti is either hiding the fact or does not know that he was the successor to Istaroth. I wish that was true. Kokomi just keeps getting cheated and cheated and cheated. I feel like I want to see Kokomi and Neuvillette interact. I feel like Kokomi would be the one person able to clock Neuvillette as the successor to the Sovereigns instantly without even asking or being told. Given that she knows so much about Enconomy and the Bishops, and it's implied that the previous Water Sovereign had something to do with Enconomy somehow in some way. Yeah. I mean, she is really good for Hydrorab. I still want her. Just kept on missing her. In what sense? I do find it interesting that, among all the characters with funky eyes, Kokomi literally does not have pupils. Some people have said that she might be blind, but I feel like Kokomi might actually be a bishop person. I feel like those sort of interactions with Sumi and Three Realms Gateway Offering, which I think might have been before you started playing. That was a good event. But basically, that in addition to the Hydro Sovereign reincarnating in a humanoid form, that the Baptismal Bishops in Enconomy had also, at least possibly, started taking on humanoid forms. And I feel like, especially given the choice to literally leave Enconomia to the Baptismal Bishops. Because it's explicitly stated, they can have their place, we don't live there anymore. That Kokomi might be a bishop person. I feel like it would be the logical conclusion to the sort of reptilian story thread. Because it's implied that Sumi thinks she's a reptilian, but is actually a snake-like envoy of Orobashi who survived. And I feel like... Well, that said, it's also said that the reptilians have snake-like pupils, so actually strike that from the record. But I don't know, I think it's still possible. Maybe she might have covered it up or somehow disguised it. But I feel like that has to come back eventually. Because Three Realms Gateway Offering was, if I recall correctly, also one of the very first mentions we got of Sovereigns. The first one we got was in the Enconomia books, And then we got another mention then in one of the loading tips, which was literally just for the 3 realms gateway offering version of Enconomy, and not even just Enconomy normally. Yeah, but the bishops aren't fish, they're amphibious reptiles. And I feel like, Kokomi being a fish, in some ways, kind of true on its face, I guess. But that wouldn't mean bishop. Hydro Dragon Sovereign, born with a human form, between dragons and humans. Yeah. The other thing with Neuvillette being paired with people like Rithesli is that, like this, Neuvillette is just explicitly not human. And does not really have a human mindset, even if he likes humans. I feel like it would be weird to imagine him in a romantic relationship. I guess you could say that the point is to basically teach him about human emotions and feelings. But basically, yeah, I do. I definitely do. 100%. I care way too much about lots of things. But like I said, kind of reminds me of... Okay, this is more Fate talk. You can tell me to stop if you want, but... Basically, for around 20 years, there was... Basically... Okay, I don't know. I mean, from what I heard, every experience you've had with Fate fans and Fate has been solidly negative. But, as I was saying, there was a... I think even calling a character is a bit weird, because it doesn't really have a consciousness. It's one of the most inhuman characters, but... ORT, which is basically... Okay. Basically, they would release lore books for Fate and sort of connected properties in the same multiverse. And one of them talked about basically these characters called the types, or the Aristotles. The latter one is just gratuitous English, which is basically sort of the most powerful life forms on every planet. And there was one that was referred to as Type Mercury with a question mark. And it turned out being a pun, basically, because the name for Mercury in Japanese is the same word that's just used for comet. Basically translates to water star or water planet, because there's no... Most languages actually, because it wasn't until Galileo, really, that we knew that there was any difference between planets and stars, because we couldn't look close enough to really analyze them. But essentially that... It was kind of a pun, and it turned out that, ORT is very similar to Oort, as in the Oort cloud. And around 2 decades later, we found out through, of all things, Fate Grand Order, because originally ORT was not a character from Fate. It was a character from Tsukihime, which is the vampire visual novel that preceded Fate, and is technically not the same setting, even if it was by the same people. Not just history, weeb history. And then... So, a full 20 years plus after the introduction of this lore character who is just... Literally just, this guy will never show up. He is a quote-unquote super boss. No one has any business doing anything to him. He showed up as a hilariously difficult story boss fight in Fate Grand Order, who had to be fought in 10 or so different stages. And if he killed one of your deployed servants, as in, all the summonable heroes you had... They would get absorbed, and you wouldn't be able to use them for the rest of the fight until you beat him, beat it, and basically freed everyone he ate. Which, I have some friends who, that's in 2 or so years, actually in around a little over a year for the people in the English version, because it's 2 years behind, who are basically saying, yeah, I'm preparing, I'm building up my entire roster, which I never thought I would have to do, because this character is going to have to use my entire roster. By eating people and just spitting them out. Honestly, I can see that. The setting you fight him in is literally an alternate history where dinosaurs survived and became intelligent. But, basically, there were basically the story is that, connected to an even earlier work by the Fate people called Notes, basically humans destroyed the environment and literally killed the spirit of the earth. So basically saying, you are not allowed to outlive me. The dying spirit of the earth reached out to all of the other planets to say, send your strongest being, each of you, to come and wipe out humanity. And Notes is literally a 10-minute read, but the setting is very interesting. And the guy who wrote it released basically a dictionary elaborating on the setting, which was about as beefy as the actual mini-novel. I feel that. But I do find it really interesting, you know, for all the crimes of FGO, such as the fact that there's a perception that it basically prevented and ate up resources for other works in the same sort of multiverse and, you know, formats other than Gacha game. It did give the creators the opportunity to, you know, get funding to make other products when they had the time for it, which they ended up doing. They remade Tsukihime, and also just fit in space to bring in old characters who probably never would have shown up in any real context. Because the power level of Fate Grand Order is so much higher. You've got, you know, dozens of servants to throw at enemies, which is, you know, a lot more than Fate, in which every character is one, barring tiny exceptions, you know, normal Fate, which is higher than Tsukihime, where it's a normal guy with a power fighting against vampires. Right. I totally forgot. I keep forgetting, because it doesn't really come up, that the Yoshi puzzle game was made by Game Freak. I keep forgetting about that. But, as I was saying... But the important thing after that history lesson, and to tie what I was originally talking about, basically, ORT does not have a human mindset and is explicitly stated to be completely incapable of understanding human emotions. But ORT shows up in mentions in other settings, other than Notes, you know, in settings where humanity has not already killed the Earth off, because Type Mercury is stupid. Well, ORT, you know, Type Ort, I guess, is stupid. And, you know, some people theorize it was because of time travel screwery. But either way, millennia before the actual call was sent out, Type ORT said, okay, I'm on it. I will come to Earth and kill humanity, and then realized, wait, it's not actually the time, and just went to Brazil to sleep and wake up when it actually was time. Wait, what? What was mean? But no, seriously. But it's really funny because people have said that basically the way ORT is described is basically calling ORT a clumsy anime girl. And kind of tied to that in the actual sort of character material book that ORT was first introduced in. It's basically someone asked the question of, can I romance ORT? And the creator just said, ORT cannot understand human emotions, but if you want to do it anyway, that's your own business. That's basically kind of what I feel about Neuvillette. Is that making him too human removes a lot of what's interesting about him. That he has compassion and emotions, but they aren't human conceptions, at least not entirely. He's also just so much longer lived than anyone else, and I don't mean it in an age gap sense, I mean in a sense that he would probably honestly get sick of anyone with a human lifespan. Not in the sense of grow tired of them, you know, just because, you know, he was callous, but I mean in the sense of it would get tiring to hear about the troubles of someone who's like 50 when he's had 450 plus years to just get over that stuff. Depends on the kind. It depends on the kind. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Dragons and humans, justice, community, deeper bonds with others.
この社会に溶け込んだわけではない。事実、この身分はかえって人々との交流を制限してしまう。
I'm not sure how I feel about all that, honestly. I mean, it's mostly just played for comedy, but frankly, that might make it worse. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. But I think a big difference with Yai and shipping her with someone like Ayato is that Yai is explicitly very interested in... I mean, in the end, you know, they're all adults of varying ages. But in the sense of... I think it's just different with the Clorinda Navia case. Because, you know, Clorinda knew Navia when she was like 5 or 10 or whatever, and that's just kind of weird. But what I mean is, Yai definitely has a sillier and more conniving mindset. She likes getting down in, you know, the muck and the trouble of human existence. She literally runs a light novel business, though some people have argued that it's basically a setup to basically write down stories in a way that Irminsul can't delete. Because we know that Irminsul cannot detect metaphors and allegory and delete those. Okay. I think it is legitimate. I think it is a legitimate question, though. I mean, if you want to say one is okay, or at least feasible, and the other is not, you need a rationale. Yeah, but, you know, we won't know whether that's true, you know. I think most of it is literally just the joke of, oh, the Japan region has light novels. But, as I was saying, I think Yai, disregarding the question of whether she has a more human mindset than Neuvillette, which I do think she kind of does, I feel like she enjoys being around and dealing with human mistakes and human silliness in a way that I don't feel like Neuvillette does. I mean, he's very helpful and, you know, is happy to help people, but not in the same kind of sense of enjoyment that I would say. I feel like he would just sort of be like, do you know how many of these exact problems I've had to... Yeah. It's a matter of temperament, and I feel like Yai has a fundamentally different temperament from Neuvillette, which is good. It's because they're different characters. Community status, deeper bonds with others. He's lonely. Fish out of water, more like a dragon out of water. Answers to Fontaine. Yeah, well, I'm doing it right now. Organizations, come with you on your investigation. Team up and round up all the bad guys lurking in the dirt. Answer? Sounds like a bad idea. Rarely investigate on my own. Professionals want to go a lot smoother. We got to hang out with our man. This is huge. Okay, so yeah. Where's just leave it to us. If out soon, to depart together once I am done. So that's the bow you were talking about. It kind of blends in with his outfit. The sides are a very similar color. You know, darker, but still a very dark blue. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I could definitely see that being a Melusine thing. But I think he would still have to be sitting in a chair for the Melusine to reach it. Because the Melusines are around sort of waist height for us. They would still have to, thank you. They'd still have to stand on a stool, I think. Once I'm done. Furina and sets it on the desk. Yeah. So that might just be hair though. And they all use the same base model, so when they want to make differences like that, it's all done by, you know, hair and the height of their shoes. Stating their situation. Okay. There we go. Talk to the little Merujin. Okay. Oh, it doesn't truly belong here in Fontaine. Is that really true? It's resolving this contradiction is going to be a big part of this quest. Ooh! Well, that's actually very interesting. Some of that, honestly, might just be variance in terrain. Because unless you're exactly sure, you would have to put them in the exact same spot and basically see where one starts swimming and the other starts swimming. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But, like I was saying, it's nice whenever I'm reminded that the game does have very, very dynamic hitboxes. And some people have done really cool things like that with it, such as the fact that you can dodge Ruin Guard missiles with Kokomi's final attack in her normal string if you time it correctly. She goes in kind of a circle around her normal position. Oh, wow. Really true. Feels like skewed perspective. Catch up with him first. Yeah. Remains of the past today. Jellyfish chapter. What I do find interesting, called yourself a fish out of water. A dragon out of water. Exactly. Yeah. It's really, really cool. Determine private occasions. Boy does not understand jokes. Oh my goodness. This is funny. This is funny. Yeah, exactly. Paimon. He and Paimon were entirely different wavelengths there. But, as I was saying, oh, interesting, because the door is actually raised up. That's why it says higher, okay. But, like I was saying, it does raise the interesting question of whether we get, if we end up getting a, muscular male model bigger than the current tall male model, what kind of design space that opens up. So I know a lot of people are saying that they might do that for Piero Capitano and Varka. Yeah, tell me. Always. Okay, so she's actually a guard too. Interesting. Actually, probably Marcia Say. I'm going. Just hover over here for fun. Okay, there we go. Cancel the attack. Okay. Interesting. And these are those the ones from Fashion Store? Oh, they're going to be racist against Melusines. Thank you. Chorus. Okay, tell me. Let's see.
Kiara.
Go and... Come on. Neuvillette-sama. Sori, kimi tachi. Omoidashita. Tabipito to Paimon da yo ne. Shippiru yo. C'è solo un capitano, c'è solo un capitano. As in, you're only a captain. What's the context of that? Kawaiiatsu da na. Konnichiwa. Ureshii. Okay. Arigato. Oh, okay. There's only one captain. Okay. Solo un capitano. Okay. Okay. So at least in Spanish, there was kind of... And it's basically just the sort of different meanings of only in English. Well, I mean, it's largely similar to Spanish. They use a lot of the same pronunciation rules, It's not an accident, but it isn't on purpose either, if that makes any sense. But, like I said, basically it's kind of like with English, where only can mean kind of like just, like only a captain, like just a captain. Or, only captain is, the one captain. You can have a... distinction like that in Spanish too, and if I recall correctly, they actually do that by indicating it with an accent mark. It's actually, but I think it's only distinct in writing, because the accent doesn't actually change the pronunciation, but basically, solo with an accent over the first O would be basically alone. Sort of alone, is in, like, the only captain. But solo, pronounced basically the same, but with no accent, is only. Solo and capitano, only a captain. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Well, Japanese in particular uses a lot of loanwords. And, the fact that they have an entire script used pretty much just for loanwords, katakana, I think that helps out a little. Letter, threatening letter, remember now. Cracking my door as I was heading out this morning, catching me. I didn't see. Oh, that's kind of cute, except for the fact that the letter happened with everyone looking after me. Still a very childish mindset. It's looking people, Ayashimo no, suspicious follows you, or talks. Interesting. So who is she gonna mention? Think of something. Don't remember meeting anyone like that. Yeah, well. Kinda silly. Okay. We'll write it off as good luck. Letter with you, show me what it says. Okay, found it. So what does this say? I'm not transcribing all that. Okay. Neuvillette will interpret, I assume. Get lost if you don't leave the Marchese Phantom, come and catch you in person. Say I didn't warn you. Maybe it's a job thing. Not sure how long the Marchese has been Melusines mostly, but I assume it's probably someone angry about losing their job, a human that is. Oh, a camera. Is that Charlotte or culprit? Writer's intentions, identity on purpose. Can't rule out that possibility. Suspicious, official documents. Come with us, secretly stay close by. Okay, things to work on, check on her place later. Watch, it could be dangerous, but to help, stay with her, make sure she's safe. And security detail for this Melusine. Forget about it. Okay. Soreni? Paimon One-chan. Oh my goodness. Don't worry. If you gotta pop out, you can pop out. I'll keep going to try to hit a time marker, but... Oh, right. Oh, so you haven't done this one yet. Okay. Well, thanks for popping in. You gotta leave, you can leave. It's no problem at all. If you gotta sleep, sleep well. Thanks for watching. Strong, separate ways. Please take care of her. Take her to Olospace right away and see you around. Oh, okay. Oh, it's in spoiling me. Katsu, follow her and 1, 2, 10, can't remember. Oh my goodness, what is up with it? Okay. That's a very childish way of speaking. It's been a long time ago. I wonder if something is messing with her memories. It's an interesting question. Thank you. See you around. 100 years ago, a big sister to you. This is the mindset thing. I would assume. Well, recommend. Thank you, I'll try. Okay. That good, based on how to feel. Paimon feels more grown up. Yep, exactly. Less mature than Paimon, then. It's really immature. Should I go into the boutique here? Oh. Tashi yoni otonakoi kara? More adult. So? Na tabibito? Nanika kikoinai ka? Is that gonna be the person at the boutique? Well, I guess we weren't supposed to get there that quickly. Maybe. Someone is watching. Suspicious presence. Okashima? Hirofeo-ne-chan? You're here? Wait, aren't these two? Natagawa?
旅人のお兄ちゃんに買い物お姉ちゃんだよ。存じ上げています。どうしてここへ？
Secret mission to protect her.
何かトラブルにでも巻き込まれたんですね。アイラたちがいるから。約束通り。まずは店を調べる。
Oh, so she's actually still doing her job and stuff. Maybe. Wonder if this is just a shopping trip or we'll hear more about Kiori here. Eh? Okay. What's gonna happen? Is she gonna go in or? Oh, she's just doing her X-ray vision thing. She doesn't even need to go in, does she? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there. At this site, no hazards, cleared it. Criminal last month never set foot in here at all. Oh, so maybe it's the previous criminal. Trying to get revenge for being busted. Expected. The scene special eyes, you can see things people can't. Bloodstains for some time. So it's basically black light. Okay. Expecting, have a chat. Children, a model. Okay, with you. No, so it really is about different perspectives on Melusines. Anything I need to do? Perfect fit. Someone over there. Have to check or Masaka? Sneak over, is there one? So they're over here for now. Okay, so it's actually not waist height. So, but they could, in theory, reach that bow, but it would be a very, very tight fit. And their arms would be strained the entire time, which is why I don't think they'd be able to... You know, you would have to be able to retract your arms to actually tie a knot. Okay. You'd either have to be standing on a stool or you would have to be sitting down. Really close, soft and fluffy. That's cute. For the suspicious person. Oh, so it is Charlotte. Okay. That's what I was wondering. Oh, probably trying to spy on Neuvillette. Skamaita. I do like how much Charlotte has just been showing up pretty much a little bit everywhere. It's not really... She isn't a big player, but she's always sticking her finger in the pie. There we go. The bird flew away. Tell me who said that threatening letter. That definitely did not happen. Made no sense. Your letter, exactly. She has no idea. What are you doing? Well, trying to spy on Neuvillette, I assume. Like an interrogation. Sure with you, don't know anything about that threat letter you mentioned. Someone to follow him and request an interview. Yep, exactly. Good old paparazzi. Want to interview him? Not the only one, every journalist's dream. Not easy, really towards subsequent requests, and up on the courts in session. The streets today, investigating something too, perfect opportunity to whip up an exclusive. Huh, okay. For my manuscript. Principles, need the consent of all parties. Okay. Yeah, you'd have to keep it secret. Secret investigation. Better set for now. Might very often. Threat letter is about... Oh, well, someone is gonna find out. But maybe her intel could be useful. Cute little Melusine. Kawaii Metal Jean-chan. Oh my goodness. It's funny. It's around. Be with her, well received. Coming after her. Oh, so pieces of the puzzle are coming together. It's some confluence of public attention and maybe some kind of help grudge. Got it, found something. What's she doing? Well, we'll see. Warn you, Lipsy and others will know eventually. Does it make sense that she's showing up a good amount? If she, you know, it's a good way to build hype for her if she's gonna come out next patch. So each and every move, something is up, involves Melusine, so... Going now, watch yourself. Going there? Okay. Okay. Doesn't just say go back and check on her, but go back and check quickly. Oh! Clorinda's here! Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's keep on going. Oh, so they can use Clorinda as the adult model. Well, I guess... Oh, right, because Clorinda is... Though they don't mention it in the Archon quest, she's not just... Because it's in Neuvillette's voice lines. She's not just a champion duelist, but she's actually... I guess they keep it kind of hush-hush. She's a member of... the Marchase. Let me see. Lucia. Champion duelist. Okay. Let me check. I wonder if I've unlocked that voice line. Pretty indeed. Clorinda. Porsche.
かも自然な感じ
Straight up
パ
out
レ
of
メルモニ
nowhere.
アを通りかかった時
People investigating a
ヌ
chase
ビ
with
レッ
you.
ト様と私は
Employer
雇用者と
employee.
非雇用者の
Trivial
関係にある。
cases. Okay.
こんな些細な調査で彼の手を煩わせるというのは少々慣れなくてな。ちょうど時間があったので見に来てみた。
Custom made.
それ
Oh,
に普
okay,
段
so
か
she is
らよくこの店で服をオーダーするから
customer in this
話題は
place.
尽きないんだ。
So I have a lot to talk about. Okay. Looking up someone like you.
ここは私に任せるといい。あなたたちはヌビレット様と合流してくれ。
Oh. Okay, so we can actually go back now because he's basically taken over bodyguard duties. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna check real quickly. Does he have... I think that would have been mentioned in his voice lines. Let's see. He should have
その卓越した実
a
力によって
successor to the
ク
Marshall
ロリングは
Hunters
現
of
在いる決闘
old.
代理人の中で頂点に
Powerful
立つ存
champion
在となった
duelist.
彼
Partiality.
女はファントムハンター
Not
の
as
後継
stoic
者
as
で
she
あり
might appear.
彼女がいるこ
I
とで
wonder what that'll mean in
皇帝の
context.
正義はより確固たるも
I
のになる
guess
そして
maybe
彼女は見た目よりもいささか水を味わうことは一種の学問とい
natural
え
and remarkable.
炎元素で熱した水の味は自然界において
So
最
it
も
notes
標準となる
difference
味で
between
あり
the
他人との個人的な
forces.
付き合いや
Okay.
その卓越した実力によってクロリングは現在いる決闘代理人の中で頂点に立つ存在となった
Tartaglia, but I guess
彼女はファント
normally
ムハンター
basically
の
no
後継
one
者であり
goes across regions
彼
aside
女がい
from
ることで
talking about
皇帝の
archons.
正義はより確固たるものになる
Hunters of old.
そして
Huh.
彼女は見た目よりもいささか忍者を重んじるタイプだ
Animal Electro Dendro. So, saying she's a successor in a role sense, I suppose, doesn't imply she is part of the Marchese. Because I guess Marchese Hunter, you know, like the artifact said, is you're not the same as just someone in the Marchese
リオ
phantom.
セスリ殿は確かに信
Reputation,
頼に足
flattery,
る男だ
loyalty, unspoken are the flower.
そして彼のあの公演はとても楽しませてもらったシグインは息災だろう
Bullied an explanation, cunt,
もし
invulnerable.
仮にあの子が虐げられるようなことがあればこのようなことを言うのは忍びないがあの時
Bottom of
意
the
図
deep
せず
lake,
彼女の怒りを買って
which
しまったこと
agitated
や
or equilibrium.
彼女の謝罪を受け入れたこと
I wonder what kind of interactions they'll have
ク
in the
ロリン
future.
でお姉ちゃん
Bit
お仕
quickly.
事は忙しい？
Kurorinde o-nee-chan. Gai.
幸い
Say what?
私の仕事はあまり一気には来ないから
So she's just chilling.
遊びに行こ
Sobiniko, beach
う前み
vacation
たい
like
に
last time.
ビーチでバカンスしようボランティアにも応募したんだ
Consume.
臨時の
Volunteer
ライフセー
lifeguard.
バー
Oh, that's cute.
泳
Good
ぎ
at
は
swimming.
得
Because
意
yeah,
だし
yeah, Melusine.
きっと役
What
に
kind
立
of...
てると
But
思う
Melusines explicitly don't have... At least they can't go as fast. Or do they have... I'm not sure they would really have the physical strength, though. That's the thing. I wonder if that was taken into account. Okay, so she actually doesn't have any lines there. Okay. It's totally disengaged from the quest. Would have thought she would have at least said something. Okay. A familiar threat, but what is familiar about it? Just a protector, rendezvous with Neuvillette. Okay. Come on. Nice. Okay, yeah, exactly. Go up on the little ledge on that door because it is an elevated object. Okay, but it doesn't actually show up under elemental sight. That is interesting. And it is so amusing to just see this tiny Melusine literally hardly even peeking out from over the counter. That's so adorable. Okay. We're going as it is nighttime. Okay.
ああ戻ってきたのだなキアラは無事か
Bujika?
オイラたちクロリンデに会ったんだ
Kurorinde offers to help us
キアラ
protect
の護
her.
衛は
なら安心
Okay, good to hear. Trust her abilities.
彼女
In
の
good
実力は
hands.
信頼に値する
I do find it
Kira
funny
no
because a lot of
no
people are
mondai nai
basically
da.
saying, you know, what was Clorinda actually doing to help hold back the water? I guess you could say some of it might have honestly been, you know, using Electro to maybe vaporize the water. But people made all sorts of silly jokes, like electroshock therapy on Rafesli. But, you know, obviously the reason we didn't see anything was just that, you know, she's at least 2 patches out. You know, she's not coming next patch. And, you know, they don't have a kit finalized for her. So there's nothing they could really show besides just basic Electro things anyone could really do with Electro. Like the silly weapon infusion she will almost definitely not have. I mean, they did show off her gun, which is nice. Okay. But I guess they could have at least, you know, shown her shooting some bullets to vaporize a little bit of the waters that chase Rafesli. And what would have been nice about that is that it could have also been a way to, you know, show off her marksmanship. In the sense of, because she would have to be aiming around him. And making sure she doesn't hit him, but hits the water behind him. I don't know. Case records, inspection reports submitted by her, and major cases judged. Plan sort with her, track down the group step by step, also analyze conflicting interests, major cases, suspicions, and mysterious I wonder if it might be those Confreria Cabrier guys from earlier. Ones who are basically a front for the synth array. Plans, documents, a lot of reading, even for Paimon. Well, any reading is a lot of reading for Paimon. She documents exactly 700 years of reviewing. Exactly, he's got a crazy amount of experience and seemingly very little illusion. Nothing else to do. I guess if Neuvillette's at least, this is centuries, not millennia. Which would mean, I guess you could say, you know, maximum, it's not like 1,900 years old. Just raises the question if, you know, I wonder, goodness knows if erosion happens equally and evenly for everyone past a certain point. But, you know, how old does that make Zhongli? Sort of the Zhongli as a primordial shade or a Zhongli as a descender kind of question. Okay, I have nothing else to do. Thank you. Pile up on the desk, browse through anything else in this room. View official documents. Okay. Oh, so we actually... Where are we? Okay, just the ones over here. Spinity Rosela. Oh, nice mention. Okay. Ready? Moment, I still need some time. We are not done. We haven't read anything. Okay. Rosela, okay. Kalis boss, defeated in the duel, died of serious injuries, defenses of honor, come to a close. Objections throughout the trial. Neuvillette reserve judgment, still under investigation. Probably not. Bribery case. Bribery scandal in the guards. Special security and surveillance. Been arrested. Confessed to their crimes. That sounds like a promising lead. Fesley confessed to his crimes. Is declared guilty. Sailed to the fortress. Serving his sentence. Remained silent for a long time. Oh goodness. That almost made me tear up a little. Oh, so daytime is instant there. So it makes sense that there was no real day-night cycle indoors, but Phantom, that was still jarring. Should I say Phantom, public events? Melusines can enhance the popularity of these events, but prohibited them from participating. Okay. Funny mascot character. Smuggling case. Guards in the Maréchaussée, offenders based on the severity of their crimes, appendix for the list of names. I was about to hop over the desk to talk to him, but I guess that won't be necessary. Okay. Progress, some of them wasn't anything useful. Documents lying around, cases of question never made a precise calculation myself. 100,000 cases, a small fraction of what is really there. Look at Chief Justice is easy at all, seems like from another perspective, simply routine. Documents take a break if you're tired. It's mine, take a break. Okay. Here we go. Say, I think he said watashi. Okay. 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 Keep on going. Keep on going. What is bro gonna do? Ui. Let's talk about something. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is a bit human. Yeah, this isn't inhuman, but real extreme introvert energy. Not that I'm different. Feel a really awkward silence.
ふむ
Lack of consideration, matters inside work, not sure what we should do.
こうしよう
Have some drinks after all that work, and it's just gonna be water, isn't it? Exactly.
ノビレット普段
Likes to drink, fan of really fancy wines, and we already know it's literally just different kinds of water.
ディルクの旦那みたいに
Tyler water like Diluc. Well, Diluc doesn't even drink. Oh, and he serves the water in wine glasses. Like water, because it is water. Oh my goodness.
まるで水みたい
It's the same cup he holds up in his
察
idle
しがいい
animation. Astute observation is
Tashikani
indeed
mizu da.
water. Tashikani mizu. Oh my goodness. So you just hold it up and kiss the glass.
なんで本当に水なん
Full of water. Traveler is not happy either.
逆に何だと思ったのだ
What do you think it was?
なんていうか
Chief Justice, something more
この水は
sophisticated.
確かに特別なもの
Special,
だ
not never statement to call it
高級と称
sophisticated.
しても過言ではない
He knows what's going
君
on.
たちも
But
フ
you
ォン
know,
タという
try
飲み物を飲
Fontaine,
んだことが
factories
あ
of
るだろう
Fontaine, packaging pure drinking
実
water.
はフォンテーヌには
So it
飲
really
料
is
工場が
just
数
sort
多
of
くあり
modern Western
中
society.
には浄水のみを売っているメーカーもある
I guess the addition of Meloseeds
それ
changes
ら飲
things.
料水はテイワット各地から届けられたものだ
Saturday, Chinksen
Ningbo
Conda
Shidoriko.
Village. Yeah, did
Gii
they
will
get that
Kisatsu.
from the silly,
Inazuma no
mysterious
Kondame da.
well? Oh my goodness. Either that well is dry. Cider Lake, Chinksa. You see the Chinksa mentioned. I thought they would have mentioned something like Chaoyang or Neuvillette.
これは最近発売された新商品で
Products
ス
from the
ネー
Ape
ル
of
のアバー
Woods.
ム
Oh
ソー
my
リンから
goodness.
仕入れられている
How could that happen though? But we turned off the well, for at least for a time. Turned off the contraption, so there was no rain. So I guess it would be the easiest way to just catch it in a water barrel. It is interesting that there's no documentation outside documentation of the Varna contraption. Actually, or well, the Varanastra specifically, I guess. Because the control points are all inaccessible to normal humans. And they don't have ones that can actually be interfaced with outside. I guess they could ask questions even if they were unusable. It's interesting that... I mean, an Aranyaki is mostly just being with Aranara, but... I don't know. Talk about the sibling. Yeah, I think it was... No, that was not him of Tyriazan. That was Gurgle de Sanzif. The one with... Oh my goodness. The guy who worked on... The machines guy, the Kasharwa guy. You know, the... Vimana Agama, the one inside the ruin golem. Just water are they? Come on the mouth feel, cider lake,
シード
warm
ル
the
湖の
heart,
水は
poignant
温かに
touch, placid.
計索層の水は叙情的
Well, it's
コンダ村の水は
mineral
穏やかな
concentration
感
at the
じがあ
very
る
least.
各地域の
Differences
水には
exist,
明
taste
確
them
な違いがあっ
carefully.
てな
Don't think the traveler is all that
少し味わえば。
interested. Paimon
どれ
is.
ど
I mean, if she's being fed. Okay, buddy. Dory. Oh. Even if they didn't show it, you know, they don't want to animate it.
どうだ
Like they at least had a sound effect. Go with that. What's she gonna do? She says it's just water, exactly. Normal water. Regrettable for fighting your
うセンス
face.
がどうとかの問題じゃ
Successfully out-cultured.
そのやつには
Do it anyway? Maybe just Hydra Sovereign stuff. Yeah.
もしかして
Be the case. Elemental interfacey or something. Bring that up right, no one else around. Doubt he cares. Yoma? I wonder if it's ever gonna get revealed. Maybe at the end of the Archon quest.
実
The
は
second one. Dragon become Chief Justice in
お前
Human
はシー
Society.
ルの
Oh!
なんで人間社会に
That's the start of some
対抗
interesting
心ばっか
lore.
り持ってるの
Okay, what was he gonna say? Just curious, don't have to
別に
answer.
隠すことで
To
はない
hide organizing my
ただ
thoughts.
心にある疑問の
Position
答
one
えを
is seek out
探すため
answers to questions that have perplexed me.
私はこれを理由に
Ah, that's kind of
こ
like
の
what he
職
said
員
in
に
his
ついて
character trailer.
何か
Can't
数
figure
多
out.
くある
Question concerns my
最
own
大の疑問
existence.
は私自
Oh,
身
the
の存在
music
についてだ
stopped. Indicates a very serious line.
簡単に言うと
Know why I was born in this
私は
form,
自分
nor do
が
I
なぜ
understand
このよう
where
な
my
形
long
態で
life
生まれ
should
たの
take
か
me.
そしてこの長
Oh,
き命
so
が どこへ
That
行き着くの
other
か
line from
それ
the
すら分かっていない
trailer.
生まれた瞬間から
But,
私
many
は
memories
数多くの
parental
記
C
憶を失って
connection.
い
What
た
that connection is exactly.
例えば原始大会談
Questions
他の元素の竜
To
王ならば
dragons of other nations
何か知ってい
scattered.
るかもしれないが
Unpredictable risk.
彼らは
I
各
feel
国
like
を
we
散っ
could
て
get a Neuvillette part 2.
軽率に訪問す
I
れば
almost feel like
予期せぬリスクを負
whatever
う可能性
the
があるだろう
second Trout's boss of Fontaine is, that might be a Neuvillette part 2 quest instead of a Furina part 2. It is kind of weird to be doing it kind of not posthumously, I mean, sort of belatedly. But I do feel like, given the fact that there were only, 2 male Archons and 5 female Archons, that they wanted to find a way to sort of retroactively make the gender balance a little more balanced. 確かに unique
だから私は
personalities, yeah.
これらの疑問を
I
抱
think
えて
Opet
生
would
活を
just
送るし
eat
かなかっ
him
たのだ
for a long
その
time. She
中で
did it
気
with
づいたこと
Destro.
が
She
あ
could
る
do it again. The way
私は
easily
容易
resonated
に人間の
doesn't have
感
the
情に
slightest
共
idea
鳴
what
で
they
きるの
mean.
だと
Just so he doesn't
だから
understand his own
私
emotions.
と人間には必
Humans
ず
and
や
myself behave
何
more
か
they
しらの
understand
共
the
通
meaning
性
of
があ
my
るとする
existence.
今
Any
まで
いく
progress,
つかあるかもしれ
perhaps?
ないが
Describe
それを説
outsider
明
few
する
and
ん
far
だから
between.
君
Take
た
up,
ちには
user,
感謝して
move
い
on
る
with our
公
investigation.
文書を読むの
Documents.
公文書にはもうほ
Finding
とんど目を
weeds,
通した
topic
が
of water, another
これといっ
idea.
た手が
What do you mean, Fountain of Lucine? Oh,
いかに
want to listen more?
ルキナの泉は
Luki
フォン
no
テーヌの
Mizu
全て
ni.
の水が交わる場所だ
There's converge,
も
cause
しメル
memories
ジー
and
ヌを利用
emotions.
して
Sense
私を狙おう
resentment,
とする
so
組
they
織
can
がいるの
maybe
なら
look for some
その組
emotions
織の
in
メ
the
ンバーは必
waters.
ずや
Interesting.
私に強烈な恨みをつまり
Find some new
水
leads
原
by
子力の
sensing the
感知を
hydro
使
element
えば
within the fountain. Yeah, let's go take a look.
それに
Stream
今
the people near there during the evening. Okay. What was the first part of the quest? So we could go look at that. I wonder if that'll disappear at the end of the quest. Ever surging memories. Okay. Interesting. Let's continue onward. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if it started raining after the trial he had to put with Thesleon. Shouldn't disturb them. Oh, so they actually did clear everything out here.
何があったんだろうな。
What's going on? It is funny that they say that people aren't around there at times of day. Usually, literally no NPCs vary, or at least very few actually vary between day and night here. Day and night. Okay. It's just normal. Okay. Right then, seal. I might take a bathroom break in a minute. Okay. Since powers, memories, and emotions, everything goes as planned. Okay. Let's hop on in. Oh, there's actually a spin crystal there. It's funny that I missed that. Okay. There we go. Did like how one of the ones in Mary C's
今日は人
religion
が
is
少ないようだ
literally inside a window, the same size as the window. It's very funny. Okay. Hardly anyone around.
それで
You
何を
next,
すればいいの
and
旅人
hop in the
泉
fountain.
の中
So
から声が聞
voices,
こえるか
drink more seawater.
私がルキナの泉の記
Investigation
憶
to
を
me,
調
a
べ
few
よう
steps back and a safe distance.
安
What
全な位置って
exactly are you? Oh, he's just using his
うわ仕方ぞ
burst or e-skill. Couldn't really tell which. Okay. Oh. You gonna go inside a domain right now, or... Let's see. Scene lights up, wave of dizziness washes over you. You're definitely getting sucked inside. We've got a loading screen here. Oh. What's happened? Everything looks a little different. Oh, it's all grayscale. Oh, that's cool. Take a look around. Oh. That's cool. Explore the nearby area. We can't sprint. We can't use any skills or anything. This is actually... Can't even use the map. This... The very narrow nature of the area we've been constricted to. This isn't actually the fountain, that's found midway, so we basically started near Arcady Station. All the fog means we can't actually... Can I? That must be... maybe one of the harbors? I can't tell. That's over there. So the court would be over there, and we can't see it. Huh. Well, okay. Neuvillette, and oh, this is 500 years back. Okay. So these are his memories, it seems. Or at least, I don't know. So how long could a group with a grudge against him stick around? I wonder if it's actually Melusines who are unhappy about Melusines leaving the court of Fontaine. I do wonder if we'll see any Melusine NPCs in other regions eventually. A travel trip or something. Incredible, never seen or heard before. Simon, no need to thank me. Despite your wishes, personal interests, much as I fancy. Part of the police force, I'd be of help. Kindness has become a lot more meaningful. So let's risk the village outside world, nonetheless. So I never understood the purpose of my existence. Contributing to this world. Oh! Oh my goodness. Forgot the headphones were plugged in. Let's look forward. Brought some paper towels. Nose is running something terrible. Okay. Well, must have left them somewhere. Place that is not here. That sucks. Okay. Yeah. Went upstairs in a hurry because I need to basically be in places in shifts. Okay. It's back in. So I'll just go blow my nose eventually. Capable of contributing. Okay. 20 years, village without finding any answers. Leave our village. Oh, so 20 years. A little over 400. This raises the question of Hajime Tenchi, how are you doing? I'm doing the Neuvillette story quest. Understandable. Oh, and... Oh, your name is permanently green now. I like that. How's D&D going? Understand your confusion, feel the same way about my own existence. Fit in as you did. If you haven't done the story quest, and you don't fear spoilers, there's an interesting line early on that basically implies that at least one out of Dvalin, or... Dvalin and Ozda is a sovereign. It was with... Honestly, me too, but I know it was something about basically Brennet, your old player character, getting kind of incapacitated and sending off the new one to do her quest. After giving her a sword, if I recall correctly. Fit in as you did. But basically we talked about, before you were here, about, you know, who would probably be a sovereign. And I said that my personal opinion was that Ozda was probably an original sovereign, and Dvalin is probably a successor, like Neuvillette. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and yeah, and you also got your new heart that allowed you to either get a super buff for a short amount of time or consume it for a permanent buff that was smaller in nature. Rocks, oh my goodness. The violence against Melusines. Exists countless obstacles to overcome. Things striking the barrier between one another. No easy feat. Positions and calculate still an outsider. So I'll do our best, confident, find the meaning of our existence one day. And inform Valtrin. Oh, the other guy mentioned earlier. Security and surveillance. Blame Harmonia. Any concerns? Don't face human. Or earnest, work together in the future and get along. Okay, so that part of the flashback just faded away, so I assume that it'll end once we get back to the fountain. Hasn't been successful how? Is the undead body rejecting it? Is there some degree of incompatibility? Baderico. Oh! He's got bad in his name. He's trying to be anti-Melusine. No need. Yep, exactly. Definitely a Melusine anti. Okay. When going, walking past a few of these people. Oh, konnichiwa. Another Jin no Karol desu. Narika tetsudaru koto arimasu ka?
どう言って
Do I
さも
think?
ないと警察
Find
隊を
the
呼ぶわよ
guards on the Malacine. Cause any harm?
どう
Hard to
あんたの
say.
言う通りだ
Monsters,
こんな
strange
出所不明
incidents.
な種族
Who knows
信用
where?
できないわ
The court of
そ
Fontaine
れ
just
だけ
like
じゃない
that.
ぞ。あの
Official
最高審
positions
判官は
investigating
こいつらに
cases.
感触を授けて
Claude.
そればかりか事件の
Ninja
さっ
get
さと失せ
play.
なわざとらしくここでパフ
嫌です
Innocent.
ネビレット様の
What do
悪
you
口
mean?
は
What
許
you
し
say
ません
bad
私
stuff
たちは
about him?
マレシオセファ
Cases
ン
never
事
done
件
anything
の
wrong.
解決そりゃヌビレットはあん
Fabrication.
たが
Oh,
来るな
so
んだから
these are
手
people
柄
who don't
近
trust
頃起きて
Neuvillette.
る数多くの事件
Anything
や
that occurred recently.
私は
Causing
口下手
logic.
ならば宣伝
Before,
はす
don't
る
go
なと
advertising if you're not a
前
good
にそう言ったはず
talker.
だ。
ポートラン
So, oh, so that's the guy I mentioned earlier coming in to
君
protect
た
her.
ち
Touching
根も葉もないことは言わない方がいい。
interrogation for less than
近
majesty.
頃は陰で何ら
Recent
かの動
cases
きがあるためか
concerned
事件
point
が少
no
ないくらい
evidence pointing towards Malacines.
特
Conspiracy.
巡隊の
I
隊
wonder if
長
that's
がメディ
Narcissus
シーヌ
Point's
の肩
Ordo
を持つなん
related.
てね
Given that
ど
they
うや
were
ら
around
ヌ
the
ビレッ
same
トがいじ
time,
くっ
but
た
that
保
would
安
have
組織
been
は
literally
もう
exactly
完
20
全に
years
腐りきっ
earlier.
てるらしい
Reformed, newly reformed, corrupt.
全く違う種族と生活するなん
What
て
happened
でき
specifically?
るわけないでしょ
It is interesting that there aren't really Furina mentions here yet. Possibly coexist. Oh, this is plainly
聞こ
allegorical.
えていたのか。
はい
Heard that? Yeah.
どうして人々は私たちを
Why
信
won't
じ
anyone
一部で
believe
は
us?
君たちが災いから誕生し生まれつき危険があると噂されている。君たちに関するネガティブな噂は
Here's
数
about
え
you
きれない
floating around in Fontaine. I guess that one line from the trailer
早く諦める。
mentioning basically questioning Rethesli, that must be from the story quest. So it was not in the Archon quest, though I kind of expect it to be, and it's definitely not being here. Honestly, I liked, especially with Fontaine, its whole theme of truth and lies. The trailers have been very bait and switch in a way that I like. It really worked well because the entire point of Archon Quests 3 and 4 in Fontaine were to basically hit you with the reveal that Rethesli is not a bad guy. And the quest sets you up to perceive him as kind of a bad guy enough. But the trailer playing into that really, really helps. And that's why I'm very, very curious. I have no idea whether Arlecchino is going to be a villain, a hero, or something in between. Because her appearance is very plainly villain-coded. She literally has red X's for pupils. But that's precisely why I feel like it probably won't be any kind of... Oh, right, you had to do a dice roll in order to synchronize, and it decreased your max HP? Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's crazy. Society, give up before it's too late. Oh, so protected her, but not in a nice
時
way.
間と努力
Effort,
のだ
best
から
effort, a
もう
little
少し
harder,
頑張
thanks
って
for
み
bailing
ます
me out early.
では私はこれで
Save your time, flyers have been up to
俺にもく
everyone.
れ。
Oh, so he'll set them
募
up.
集するつ
一緒に配れば早いだろう。
Soon we can head back. Okay, so he is helping, but ever surging memories, and we can't sprint, but at least we're normally running. Okay. There. I guess I'm just kind of biased, because the campaigns I've been in have always been, you know, they were run by literal high schoolers, so they were always very kind of silly. But they'd give us a lot of strong items, but there wouldn't be penalties. Frankly, I like the approach you described better. It's important to give balance to things like that.
平和勲章
Medals of Peace.
君とボートラン
Honestly,
に
those
贈
look
られる
like...
ものだ
They kind of look like the conchs we got from inside the Institute of Natural Philosophy, but they also kind of look like... They also kind of look like ocean-hued clam. I mean, a shell's a shell, I guess.
この5年間
Continuous dedication,
君
no
たちの
seeds,
たゆまぬ努
past
力
5
によ
years
って
trusted
俺は
so this is
遠慮して
over
おく
a pretty long time period.
そんなこと言わないで
Yes,
くだ
may
さ
spur
い。メ
that
デジーヌと
you.
人
No
間
seeds
が
are
仲
living
良く
peacefully
暮
with
ら
the
す日は
humans. It makes me happy.
俺たちが得たのは
Surface, dream comes true, don't
ボ
ruin
ートラン
the
の言
mood.
うことにも一理ある
It's placing you fragile. A
Again,
small
二人とも
incident. Takes a few days. Oh, okay. I wonder what kind of fight we'll get to try out Neuvillette. Given that we're in a kind of a domain right now, I'm not sure we'll get an actual domain, but Gratefully
本当に
ours.
本当にやるの？
Swab
武力に関
off.
しちゃ
Oh
束
my
になったっ
goodness.
てヌビレットの相
I
手
was
にはなら
blind
ない。
out, so people are conspiring against
奴
him.
が最高審判官で
Except
政治には
personally.
政治のル
Play
ール
with
があ
a
って
political spear, an
奴
enemy
も
of
それを守らなきゃ
Fontaine.
ならないビクビクしないで
Filbert and
一丁でかいのをかましてやろう殺人事件
what
は
was
すで
it?
に
The
用意してる
murder. Oh, a murder
メル
blaming
ジーノに濡れ衣
Melissus
を
to
着せれ
frame
ば
them.
メル
やるしかないか。
Excuse? You're right. They were never came to this.
これも全部奴が
But what
先
is
住に
there?
組
What
織
have
を
they
外変しようと
lost?
するか
Teach him a lesson. Okay. Huh. Understandable. I do like that even the world map has turned the murderer in. Oh. Who is that gonna be? Is that Carol herself, or...? Okay, so it ends around here. I like how even the map itself is in grayscale. Special story mode to continue. I do not wish to leave. Okay. Here
メ
in
ルジーヌなんて信
Trust
用
in
できない。
Neuvillette too.
ヌビレットもだよ。
Wonder if they're implying he's a Melusine or just implying he's some kind of outsider.
共
They
存
know.
なんてどう
Don't
だい無理
ever
だった
come
んだ。
back.
ここから出てい
Addition
け。
undead.
二度と来るな。
Life drain. Okay, main stats. Oh! So you brought in stat drain. Let me see. I think, if I recall correctly, that's still in 5e, but just barely in it. Walking... I forget what specifically called it. It's literally an intellect devourer. Yeah, the 5e intellect devourer has the ability to drain intelligence. But as far as I recall, out of all the monster manuals that I've looked at, you know, other supplement books, it's the only example of permanent stat drain in 5e. I guess they just didn't think it was player-friendly, which is fair. But I think the interesting thing is, honestly, that... I wonder if... It makes me wonder how long the Capellian Capellius arena has been around, because we can see the thrones over there. You know, Capellius's operas were pre-Cataclysm. When did they make the robots? It's interesting. And I do wonder, you know, wouldn't really be able to see it to begin with, but once they actually add the areas over here, you know, would they change this flashback area? Because we are basically right up against the eastern border of Fontaine is in the playable area right now. I wonder if they would change the terrain to reflect what it's like. Oh, interesting. Is there any good way to recover from stat drain? Because from 3.5, the big source of stat drain I remember is that every time you revived from death, you would get permanent constitution drain, which was basically a hard limit because if your constitution was below 0, you were permadead. But I don't remember there being a good way to recover from that, if any. I'm pretty sure there wasn't.
Yeah.
Go on.
直接的な証拠はありませんが、確信によって利益を損なった
Basically
救世
that,
主が裏で主導し
you
ている
know,
と
if you had
推
a
察します。
0 in any stat, you would be dead, or at least incapacitated, you know. If you had a dexterity of 0, or a strength of 0, your muscles would not be able to, you know, actually keep your body going. If you had a constitution, you'd probably just spontaneously die, and if you had an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma or 0, you would just basically have no consciousness. It is funny to think that a charisma of 0 could technically kind of kill you or incapacitate you. Because it does show how charisma is honestly not all that descriptive of all the things it represents. Because it's... I feel like... Okay. Oh, okay. And what does it cost? What's the gold cost? Or resource cost? And what's the limiting factor on that, essentially? Yeah, stat drain, it's a fun idea, but having a way to recover from it, in my opinion, is kind of important. Because otherwise, I guess it can be an incentive to try out other characters, but from what I've heard about your DM style, it wouldn't work all that well to encourage you to basically drop all of the DM's planned story beats and character development and say, my stats got drained too much and I can't recover. I'm going to pick a new character to not be as weak. Evidence, old regime, undermined by the reform. Okay, per stat, as in per stat point. That's a good balanced amount. I feel like he must have done done a lot in the past, because 85, it's not an obvious number, you know, when you pick stuff like that, I guess. Unless it's actually from a supplement specifically. I feel like something like 50 or 100, you know, round numbers like that. If someone was just picking it out of a hat, that's what they would choose. But yeah, okay, so he's been doing it for a while, and that's basically what he settled on for balance. Okay. Crime scene press charges, fester his mistakes, and yield up power. Okay. Huh. Crime scene... Oh, so they got her in the wrong place at the wrong time. H mob interfered, sacrificed to pacify the situation. Investigation quickly is up. Establish the truth, prove her innocence like that. Maybe that's why they established a dueling. No better plan, physical altercation, citizens and guards. Should do. It's monster Neuvillette. There was an interesting article I read just the other day, and as a DM, I tend to agree, basically that when a DM or a player yells at a player for quote-unquote metagaming, that's indicative of the problem in the design of the campaign itself. Doing missions. Oh, okay, so he has done a lot of calculation for the campaign's economy. That's really cool. I've honestly never done that. To be fair, it's also been a few long years since I've last run D&D, but I like that a lot. Back when I was in high school, one of the DMs I had for one campaign actually tracked travel time and food, and that was a very cool campaign. He basically did an open world approach with an overarching plot, and I tried doing stuff like that a few times. The one campaign I was really proud of was basically it was the sort of D&D sort of Fate series fanfiction. Basically, if a Holy Grail War happened with my friends in our hometown, and it didn't really track stuff like food, and, you know, the D&D economy doesn't really map well to a modern setting. I mean, the closest I did was basically saying, you know, it said that one gold piece is basically the pay for 1 day's worth of skilled labor. Basically assuming, you know, that would be around something like, I don't know, something around $12.50 to $15. You know, it would basically put a standard 8-hour workday in America. It would be something along the lines of $100 or 120 US dollars is the equivalent of one gold piece. And that's basically what I did, but it was never relevant because all the players were members of factions who basically set them up with what they needed or what they could be provided with. It just, and to be fair, some of that was deliberate, so, because it was complicated enough already, but it just was not really important to deal with a gold economy or a money economy. But it was kind of an open world setting, and part of the reason, one thing I did to make it more manageable is that the end of every session, or at least before the next session for each group, it was a PvP thing run with multiple groups competing. And that's kind of the reason it died. It was a logistical nightmare. I might have told you about this before, I don't entirely remember. But basically, between every set of sessions, every group would basically have to say where they wanted to go next on the world map, which was, to be fair, a real place. And therefore I could plan out encounters in the place they went to, and if 2-player groups went to the same place, I could tell them, you're having your session on the same day, because it will be one session because you're encountering each other. That actually only happened a couple of times. One of them was just a role-playing encounter, albeit a fun one, but the other one was a PvP encounter, which was probably my favorite session of every session I've ever run for people. But essentially, especially with the whole multiple groups thing going on, you know, I still gave them the choice of going wherever they wanted. They just had to tell me in advance, so I could make sure there was something worthwhile and interesting in the place they went. Public access to all information, so a cover-up. I need to... Never told Carol, or else this with Ilaria when I was very young. Does that have to do with... Huh. Carol in every possible way isn't kind, best of people. Deception and betrayal. Manipulated by others, lecturing her into giving up. Phased. Belfort being sad, working towards her dream. Neuvillette, trouble after Carol all along. Bloodshed.
お気持ちはわかります。
Oh.
ですが、
だから情
Solution.
報を遮断するんだ。
Secret suspects, nothing to do
よ
with
く
any
生ま
of
れ
you.
る罪は
Possibility for
俺一人のせい。
everything. Basically, there's an article from a website called Angry GM, which I'm kind of neutral on, but this is a very good article there by the guy who writes it. And like I said, it was basically saying that when a DM or player complains about a player metagaming, it's an indication of a problem in the campaign and the way the campaign is run. Because if metagaming is a problem, it's indicative of a campaign with bigger, directly connected problems. I might have repeated myself just there. And the first example given was basically, imagine there's a party that's mixed alignment, and one party member, such as a thief, is undercutting the other members, but through stealth or something, the other party members don't know, character-wise, that the other character is sabotaging them. And I've been in somewhat similar situations, but arguably worse, because the characters did know, and we still were not allowed to interfere with the evil player. But after that, essentially that... The problem is, and after that what essentially happens is that all the other party members are basically looking for justifications to find out, you know, quote-unquote, find out that the other party member is evil, and then just put the... Not the bricks. Not the sticks. Put the fire on them. Close enough. But, essentially, the problem there is not that people are metagaming to get rid of the saboteur. It's that the DM said, yes, I am going to allow one party member to be an open saboteur and openly protect them in doing that action. It's just an inherently bad way to run a campaign. And the other one is things like hiding, sort of complaining about characters knowing things like monster vulnerabilities and details and weaknesses. You know, sort of, if the players know that trolls are weak to fire and acid, and knowing that and using the right kind of spells or damage trivializes the encounter, the DM has made a bad encounter. If knowing a simple single piece of information that the GM does not have perfect control over the dispensation of ruins the entire encounter, the encounter sucked. You know, and specifically, the guy who wrote the article went on and said, you know, a good campaign is made better and more interesting by the revelation of information, not worse. You know, if they know that the trolls need fire and acid to be dealt with, you can make it an interesting resource management puzzle where they have to figure out, okay, you know, how many trolls can we kill before we run out of fireballs or acid clouds, you know. And I guess that is a little bit harder, but, you know, don't blame your players for your unwillingness to exert effort. I say that as a forever DM. But the biggest point that he made that I really liked is essentially, especially in the latter case, you don't stop metagaming. You just force your players to metagame, which is worse. Because now they're doing a different calculation in their heads, playing a different game, which is basically, you know, how many non-fire acid spells do I have to use on the troll before I'm allowed to quote-unquote know that they don't work as well and then start actually using fire spells? That's still metagaming, and it's a less fun kind. It's ultimately just very silly. Okay. So that disappeared, and where are we going next? Is the end? Is Neuvillette gonna be explore the nearby area, and who is here? Gonna go inside the opera? Oh, I think we are. Can we? Oh, yep, we can read the bulletin board. Clay is not for other usage. Wonder what kind of things it's gonna have here. This is 400 years ago. Oh! Sir Bletchley, Fontaine Research, or Artificers Calsherbius. Maybe it's probably the experimental fuel generator peculiarity. Things and controls, or maybe it might be Capellius. So it does have different things because it's in the past. Okay, that's big. Prince of Poisson, Tyrants and Bandits, pre-Cataclysm. Pre-Cataclysm. Historical opera, opera house, because it's not history yet. Gestion, Gardeniage, so the guards were already in there. Gestion, Silesia Plain. Colada Submarine Canyon, Fortress. Just shown illegal activities during the construction of a tunnel at the Opera Epicois. Oh, because it's the tunnel to the fortress. The Ordo's secret treasure. Oh, so I think that'll probably be related. I did see some people opening up some treasure chests related to the world quest here. Clockwork Capelia. School Pygmalion and the Mirror will soon take the stage. Oh, interesting. Spiritual. Because they are both about artificial humans. White Armada, been repaired. Would have been Basil. So it seems to be starting to repeat now. Didn't repeat until after we had read them all, which is nice. Okay, cool. I may need to take a quick bathroom break soon. I'll try to be fast. The size of the opera house is, honestly, though to be fair, it could easily be largely underground. Yeah, this is actually. But the height of it, though. Captain Voucher, you have exactly personal measures to measure peril. Framed his friend, say anything. What if he's changed his mind on Malazine since? Fill him out, chop commences, why? Down, trust subordinates. Keep Voucher around. Oh, so is he some kind of leverage? Prudent, secure, public opinion, or reprieve, benefits are endless. So what is Opera House? Valid cause, justice he upholds. Oh, interesting. What are the Oratrices to say? Oratrice is already here, right? The same way as he did. That's right. Soda, sensei da. Hachimari wa? Accusations of Kero, you declared guilty for seeking revenge. Well, it is still against the law. Gonna see. I think I could hear the Oratrice. Yep, exactly. Muzai. Okay, that was from the trailer, too. Lacked context, so I thought it was actually about Neuvillette. Seishkuni. Says that's one of his battle lines, too. Arguments? It's a form of justice. Standard decision, regret, must now impose. Justice is law, informal executions, abuse authority. Declared guilty. Yeah. Sentence to death or more thought, so much for Fontaine. What else do you wish to say? Serve this orders. Well, technically he did. This is that line. Kohei? Kotairo Neuvillette? Seishku? Oh, we got the top of the game. Final verdict regarding the charges against Mr. Valtrin. Oh. It was that fast, too. Declared guilty. Kokunin voto. Interesting. So we're getting a headache from that. Okay. Sayonara. Neuvillette-sama. Is he just gonna kill naive ideas? Who is this anyway? Who is that? That's the end of that, I suppose. I mean, they have to give us an opportunity. You know, every single story quest other than Albedo's. And to be fair, the 3 starter trio, because, you know, we had them already by necessity. Give you an opportunity to try that character out. Feeling well? What was that? Okay, got them better with me. Let's suppress the power of Hydro. Visions will boil over. At you as well, are you alright? What a nice guy. I am fine. Okay. Powerful than Paimon thought. If we see no emotions boiling over anything, might be because I'm different, built different. Fountain, waters, rivers, lakes, and even the rain. Okay. So it's stronger there for sure. Okay. The rain. Hand over heart. Like this, always chaotic and disconnected. Pleasant experience related to you. So he didn't see the same ones. Quite guilty. Shows the meter one, I guess. Everything in that form. Understand your conspiracy. Something, track what you're saying out of the conversation. 2. Investigate the fountain. Something strange.
私に対する憎しみがなぜかはわから
Some
ない。
resentment towards the Melusine. Oh, the smuggling case was.
キアラに対する憎しみを
Shortcut for the organization's pulling the strings. Documents, yep, exactly.
君たちも読んでい
And
た
from
の
that incident.
ナビ
Navia!
ここに
Oh,
ちょう
nice.
ど今
Played
パ
by
レベルモニ
Navia.
アに探しに行こうと思ってたんだ
Oh, she's got a sour expression on her face. She is not happy to see Neuvillette, is she? Okay. Navia. Oh, maybe Corinda.
けどオイラたちに何
Corinda
か用か
alerted her
ちょ
of
っと噂を聞いて
it.
ね
So I'm not asking
あ
why,
あ
don't
もち
worry.
ろんわざと聞き回ったわけじゃないから
I do appreciate how many characters are just popping in. Got 3 other playable characters making appearances right
メ
now.
ルジーヌに手を出そうとしてる奴がいて
No scenes in
あ
necessarily
ん
the
ただから
case.
スピナディロ
For
ースに
leads,
気にかけておくよう頼
Sandre
んだの
suspects
Kansas.
among them unfamiliar.
そ
Now
りゃ
this, Chief Justice,
最高審判
Close
官
eyes
と異国の旅
watching
人があんたたちキア
in
ラに会ったみ
secret
たいだ
as
け
for
ど
information, threatening
シ
letter
ャル
all
ロットが言っ
across.
てたの
無
Yes,
論
that's what she meant.
私
Rumor
も
stuff spread. More
ところで
tension than you think.
何か進展はあったの
Investigation.
メルジーヌに脅迫
Threatened
状を送
her,
った者
certain
は
smuggling case, another
私たちは
plea.
パレメルモニアへ戻
Some
り
details, identify the senders of the letter, follow up on the process.
私からの知らせを待っててね
Okay.
また
I do feel like her voice was a bit less peppy than usual. She just was not happy to bump it to him.
ヌビレッ
Maybe.
ト
Problems
そ
that
れ
will
について
result,
私も
consider
考
that
えたが
possibility.
兵器だ
Bit
ろ
of harm
そして
done by
何より
daylight.
重要なのは
Public, old
民衆
regime.
が今回は
Some Melusines weren't happening again. Head back to the Palais. Okay. Let's keep on going. Oh, this is interesting. A little
お
cinematic
かしい
too.
の
Streets so
も
late
う
at
遅
night.
い時間なのになんでまだこんなに人が
Playing
いる
around
の
with the
か
Melusines, I guess. Happy to take a look around.
何かあったのかな
What's gonna happen here?
おいみんな聞いた
Only
か
plotting against a
メルジーヌに
Melusine.
手を出そうとしてる奴がいるらしいぞ
Investigating in
か
person.
なり信憑性のある情報
Oh,
で
okay, so they are pro-Melusine.
敵は水面下に潜んで
Everyone's a fan. Reveal themselves from finding them.
その通り
Not the
俺
vigilante
もちょうど同じ
justice.
こと考えメルジーヌが普段どれだけ俺たちのこと
Oh,
を助けてくれた
okay. I knew
よし
nothing.
しばらく周りを警
Surroundings,
戒しておこう
guards immediately. Okay, so this is a show that doesn't seem like there'll be a retron of
どう
past
してずっ
events.
とついてくるの
I mean, this whole time something happened.
ある情報で
From that, just
何
happened to
もな
be
い
strolling
そう
by.
なのご苦労
Getting new
様
items at the dessert shop.
今
Out
は
and
まあ
about.
まあ
Hungry too. Oh, okay. Go buy a cake.
夜ご飯はき
Skipping
ちんと
meals.
食べるのよ
There's a much
特に
older
残業
sounding
前は
Melusine than the
少し
others. For later, okay, so they are getting along.
ヌビレット様もこの件に目を光らせてるらしいぞ
Promoted. Oh, we've got.
手柄を
Oh,
立てれば
so
昇進と昇級のチャンスかもな
maybe they might be behind it, and it's a way to rise up in the ranks by basically issuing a false
お
threat.
いおい
What was
冗談
involved,
さ
playing, happened to them,
もう
regret for the
そう
rest
で
of
な
my
くちゃ
life.
な
Criminals been
危
caught.
険な目に遭わそうとしてるやつ
City
め
cowards.
聞いた
My
か
goodness.
特巡隊の奴ら
Special
も
patrol, so that would be
あれ見ろ
chivalrous. That's
どう
nothing
や
to
ら
worry
心
about.
配はいらない
あ
You don't know?
本当によ
It's
く
really wonderful.
こ
Everyone
の
say
ままにし
hi.
ておこ
Unnecessary
予定通り
commotion. Plan to return to the
戻っ
Palais. Cover the truth, the better. Return to the Palais. Wonder when this. Assuming, because they haven't really varied it recently. They have, as of late, very, very reliably stuck to kind of a 3-act, if not 3-act, basically 3 sub-quest structure for each story quest. I haven't checked, but I'm going to assume that things have remained the same. So nobody is... Actually, it's just you. Okay, so it's just normal dialogue. Okay. So if you honestly don't need to check, do I? I don't know. Restricted access only, heading back no, don't get any ideas. Okay. On looking, and... Yeah, it does not have any kind of HP scaling. Oh well. Let's go over here and check for suspicious or sussy documents. In case, and yep, that's where it ends. Oh well. Look a bit more
う
into
警察隊
this.
とマレショーセ
Like
具
forces
体
of the
的な
guards in
関係者リスト
Machassé. Found it. What
事
does it
件の
say?
主犯
Domenico, Inika,
Inika,
Iona, and others
Yuna を
sent
対
to the
密輸
fortress.
事
So I
件に
guess we
参
might
加
go
せず
back
とも
there.
主
Oh,
犯と
right,
密
because
接
I
な関
did
係に
get
あり
spoiled a bit.
利
Let's
益を得
see.
ていた者は 罪を課さず
Think
に
of him with
指導を
Rufezli
行う
here.
こととなった。
Not stand trial. Mutual interest and not participate
中で
in
も
close
エさんは態
connections.
度が良く、
Sign good behavior on our watch list. The list, we don't know.
より彼は
Sign
密輸事件
closely
の主犯
related
と関
without
係がある。
restriction.
数
Navia or
先ほど
Spina?
スピナディもうタ
Fez
ー
is
ゲ
it
ットを
gold
見つ
or
けた
chatting in a cafe?
おいらたち
Suspect's name, perplexed. Over and take a look. Okay. Huh. Meet up with Navia again. That quick, huh? Okay. Let's go back out, and I guess, yeah, the statue is still gonna be our quickest route to the bottom. Okay. Huh. Let's keep on going. Come on. Come on. We have a little bit. How much resin have we? Definitely. We couldn't deploy our glider, but at least that was in water instead of a hard surface. Okay. Going in. Okay. Huh. Come on. Come on. We're there, and okay, we land over there, and it's Navia time now. Okay. All these people. Oh, so they've all been basically drawn here, it seems. Stakeout? We're here. Sort of collective interrogation? Or is there a handout? These people, nope.
最近
Recent
マレシアセファントム
dealings.
の世話になっ
So
た
to
者た
invite
ち
them
正
over.
体。
Yeah, yeah, the old guy from the previous quest. I mean, from the previous campaign. From the evil campaign, if I recall correctly.
ここの
Over.
コーヒーが美味しいって
Forget.
聞いたから
Is
一
that
緒に来ないかって誘っ
a
た
male
の
or a female character? But if I recall correctly, they were basically took over a country. The Shadow Sorcerer, right? Have some. This is the Spina. Been up like this for ages. Uh-oh.
ぎこちないな
So basically, he's gonna come back as another antagonist, maybe. Your DM is giving another chance to not lose to him this time, him or her.
まあ
Get back to business. Anyone called SIM here? Yep, exactly. There we go. Navi is not happy to see him.
君がエさんか。
Kimi ga isam ka?
どうも
Domo,
ヌベレット様
Neuvillette
あの
sama.
脅迫状は
A threatening letter. Oh, what's he gonna say?
はい
Yep, following orders from
Nice.
you. Domenico, boss, is obey orders. Where is he
そ
now?
いつ今は
Definitely a
Melopideos.
fortress. Yep, exactly.
あ
We're
の
looking
どう
at
や
that place.
あんたたちに
Shoot
直接
yourselves.
十分だ。
こん
Grateful
な
for
の
your
気に
help.
しなくていいから
You can go
も
first.
し本当に
Conspiracy exposed as soon as possible. Fortress right now. Okay. Finish comedy. Yeah, we'll continue the current one. Saving that for later. I gotta say, oh, it's not, okay, so she's basically running that cult. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, so that's gonna be the final one. It is 3 again in a new light. Let's see Rufezli here if I recall correctly. Navia,
残りのお
back to the
客さん
Faux
を送って
Cendré.
あげて
Appreciate your help.
苦労かける
Oh my goodness. Tishro and Faustur. Oh, that's funny. There are off-screen invisible henchmen. Talking, but literally not. Oh! Oh, wait, the bartender is under their employ. Okay, so they're actually here. Okay, so she is gonna come back and be a large antagonist again.
ボス
Huh, boss. Okay. Let me see if... What are they gonna say? Post call, really in the clear. Huh. This one doesn't say anything. He's just staying silent. Yeah, exactly. You could get in some serious danger then. Given that she TPK'd you last time. Okay. Also, given that you are a Shenhe main and a Shenhe on-field DPS main, you'll be happy to find out, I think, that I am trying to build her right now, at least as an off-field support. Because, you know, I'm leveling up her normals just out of neuroticism, but because apparently Rufezli's best team is going to be, people are saying it's going to be Rufezli, Shenhe, Bennett, and Zhongling. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll be back in a quick second. And to take a quick break. But if you have a big recap to write up and send, that would be a good time to do it. I'll be right back. Hajimamashi Tenshi, I am back. I was very silly in the sense that I've been making this mistake more often, but basically turning off the screen capture instead of the avatar capture. That's life. How are you doing? Okay. Dark Sorcerers. Yeah, exactly. So basically, you're kind of at a turning point, you know. Do you... Basically, your DM seems to basically be giving you a choice, you know. Like, do you want to resolve this singular incident? Or do you want to try to sort of get retribution against, you know, your own former player character who wiped out your party in a different setting? I mean, in a different campaign, and then... You know, do you want to play in easy mode or hard mode? That said, it might be the illusion of choice. I mean, if you try to take down the cult, you know, you're probably going to get attention from her. She is probably going to get involved. You're going to have another big fight. There's nothing wrong with just recovering. I mean, in the end, you know, it's not going to be lazy, but C's get degrees, and it's not worth destroying yourself over school. You know, you can't learn anything if you're dead. But I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Okay. Let's see things. Neuvillette. Okay. So switches us back to Traveler 4. So we finally get some more Thesly and Neuvillette interaction for those who partake. Or just a therapy, dear esteemed guests. I'm doing much better. Yesterday was the only day where it was actually bad. The day before it was the start of the fever. But yesterday, pretty much everything horrible was over at once. My nose is a lot runnier today, but ultimately that's not as bad as having a constant headache. Oh, right, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. But what I'll say is, I was in an honors program, and it didn't have a grade requirement, but it did have an essay requirement. And in the end, it was... Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Glad to hear you've recovered, too. Basically, my senior year, I was sort of, you know, I don't actually have the time to write this essay. So I went and told the honors people and said, you know, sorry, but I actually gotta hop out. And they were like, okay, understandable. I mean, in the end, the downside of, you know, the only punishment from that is logical, you know, just not graduating with the honors. And they weren't mad, you know. There were reasons for what I did, other than just, I am lazy. You know, I did 3 majors, and doing a thesis on top of that would have been kind of crazy. I mean, honestly, the big thing is just, it was an area I had interest in, but not a huge amount of pre-existing knowledge. And I would have liked, I would have liked to have done a bunch of reading the summer beforehand. But that was the summer I worked at that pizza place, so I didn't really have the time for it. At least I didn't care too hard to find it. And that was when Chasm came out. I had more important priorities. But, like I was saying, I switched. I probably could have gotten it done with, even with 3 majors if I'd done pre-reading, because at that point it would have just been a matter of writing the essay. I would have basically done the research ahead of time. But the important thing is just, well, for one, I probably wouldn't have been able to work that job. The time and mental energy it would have taken. If I hadn't worked that job, I wouldn't have made money over the summer, so I wouldn't have been able to buy this PC, which means I wouldn't be here right now, so I think it was the better choice. Never mind. Dear Steve Gus, Duke himself made a name for himself at this place. He loves us, like we love him, and everyone else in this wonderful world of Tibet. 2 of you, Chief Joseph, showed up. Guys, it's Genshin Jotaro. Right? Yeah. You know, it's like I said, you know, never get mad at yourself for the fact that there are only 24 hours in a day. You know, it's impossible to do everything, so there's no sense trying to. You know, pick the things you have capacity for and do them well. Chief Justice showed up? Okay. Yeah, but his banner is going to be in 2 weeks, and I will be rolling for him. I've actually got some artifacts kind of prepped for him, though not leveled. Oh, believe me, everyone in here goes on rants, myself included. It's kind of the best thing about each stream. I do not think anyone will knock you. Gone through the pleasantries and cut right to this. Well, because... it's a hard thing to talk about, because it's bad behavior, but it's not really malicious bad behavior. I mean, in the end, you know, except for a few people who are just being plain manipulative, it's done out of a profound lack of self-esteem, which is inherently something that should be sympathized with, but it's just an incredibly unhealthy way to respond to that. It's maladaptive. I'm sure you've heard that term. Yeah, exactly. It's... I mean, to a sense, it's either fishing for compliments effectively, or just beating yourself up for no good reason. I mean, and again, you know, it's unfair to... it's unwise to criticize it too much, because ultimately it's not the behavior of a healthy person, and I mean that in as compassionate terms as possible. But it's behavior that worsens the situation. I think it's a really, really hard balance to strike. It's a lose-lose situation. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of what a zero-sum mentality is. And, you know, if you have a zero-sum mentality, you know, people basically assume most of the time that, okay, in any given situation, someone is always winning, and someone is always winning. For someone to win, someone has to lose. You know, disregarding the fact that there are a lot of win-win situations, but also disregarding the fact that there are a lot of lose-lose situations. Well, in those cases, some of that is just being overly polite, which isn't necessarily the best thing ever, but it has better intentions. I think overly self-deprecating behavior, like I said, can oftentimes be at least a little manipulative, or at least is not healthy. I think that kind of apology is oftentimes a kind of explanation, because there are a lot of people who can honestly kind of misread things, and basically think, oh, they didn't clean up after themselves, they didn't do something. You know, are they sending a message? Are they saying, I don't need to do this, you know, it's your job, you know, be my housemaid, be my house servant, whatever. Or, you know, talking about the towel thing, or the sleeping, or the dishes. You know, I think if it's done right, it's a good and important way, to an extent, of basically correctly taking responsibility for behaviors. But it's very situational. It's different for every person in every situation. Get right to the chase. Find the guy. Yeah. Threat letter. There's a big difference between being realistic and beating up on yourself to an unrealistic and pointless degree. You know, being honest about your flaws is admirable in most situations, except if you're just doing it to fish for compliments or otherwise manipulate people. But yeah, it's like you said, it's the difference between honesty and putting yourself down. That was a good way to put it. Medico instigated a protest and came event to threatening Malazines before it started. Seems just like a rabble-rouser, conspirator, raises a flag, going on behind the scenes. It's no problem. That was a good conversation. Good food for thought.
過去に似たようなことが起きたので、少々心配なの。
think he's at. Where is he? Oh, Sigwin's here too. We have had 5, if I recall correctly, non-Neuvillette playable characters show up. We've had Clorinde, Charlotte, Navia, Rithesli, and now Sigwin. Yeah, no, seriously. Was that from the sub? Well, the funny thing about it is... This is going to lead into some interesting conversation. Which is that, well, and even Raiden, it's complicated, because, you know, ultimately her supporting capacities are just as important. Her field time is strictly tied to her burst, which is 7 seconds. But there are characters who have DPS capabilities increased by their constellations pretty heavily. And most of the characters who are supports with potential DPS capabilities that's locked behind their C2 or even their C6. Because Nahida can be played... To be fair, Nahida can be played as an on-fielder. Honestly, depending on the situation, playing her as an on-fielder is as good, if not better, as playing her as a pure support. Yeah. Because up until Raiden, literally every 5-star female character was an on-field DPS. Well, limited. So you had Klee, you had Ganyu, you had Hu Tao, you had Eula, Yoimiya, Ayaka. Yeah, exactly. And a good number of the 4-stars were like Rosaria, too. But Lynette has a C6, which lets you play her on-field, but, you know, even though she's a 4-star, that's C6. I think Nahida kind of... And to be fair, a lot of that is just because Dendro application is so good and so overpowered. Can very easily be played on-field, and when I would run a pure Hyper Bloom team before I got and built Alhaitham, I would run Nahida on-field. Just to get more Dendro in the mix and more Bloom Cores as a result, but the other thing is... Other ones would be Yeon, who is arguably the most overpowered C6 in the game, as well as... Not... I guess you can actually run Shenhei with Chongyun. I'm not sure if she's still watching, but the gal who was previously in chat talking about D&D, and one of the things she's told me that I remember is that she plays on-field DPS Shenhe with Chongyun as support, because, you know, she can use her own Icy Quill stacks. She deals cryo damage, and if you give her cryo infusion, it works even better. But, as I was saying, beyond that, the other support, I guess Nilu kind of, given that her C6 gives her crit rate, but even then, she's still locked to her skill for any on-field capability. But basically tied to that, you know, a lot of people say, you know, the only reason to make on-field female DPS characters is so that male players can, you know, ogle the characters as they play the game. But, you know, as a guy who prefers to be, you know, when I have the choice, you know, in the end, I like meta and I like fun gameplay. Nilu is complicated because her E has 2 separate variants. Once you press E, it puts her in a stance, and she can either continue attack with E presses or, you know, left mouse button clicks, or, I guess, normal triggers versus skill triggers. And once you finish that up, depending on the last one you use, she'll either be able to use that combo again, or put up an off-field aura. Yeah, as a person of the male persuasion. But that essentially... You can run her a bit more on-field with a bit more field time, but largely Neo's capabilities are support, because she gives everyone in the party the massive buff to bloom damage and bloom range. You know, anyone who's triggering a bloom when she finishes her E combo is going to get that buff. And given that the buff applies to everyone and it's literally just scaling on Nilu's max HP, you want to give her as much HP as possible, which it doesn't really leave room for any other stats other than the odd crit stat you're going to get from your artifacts. Yeah, no, seriously. Neuvillette's playstyle is honestly kind of simple, but has a good amount of resource management, because he basically spawns... He spawns these little water spheres using his E and his burst, and he can consume them to charge up his charge attack faster, which is the source of all of his damage. Yeah, exactly. He is the most wizardy catalyst we've ever gotten. You know, they even gave him a staff. Well, Kane, but he used it like a staff, honestly, to an extent. But he feels very fun to play. He's also just very, very strong, too. But I really like that in 2 characters, they put out 2 tall male catalysts who are both on-field DPSs, arguably. Well, not even arguably. I guess the argument you could make is that if you run Neuvillette in a national team, he's not triggering reactions. He's applying Hydra for Zhongling to vaporize, but even then, both of them are on-fielders. And they're both catalysts. But their fighting styles and their feels are entirely different. You know, Rithesli is a close-ranged brawler. He's kind of like Wander in terms of his gameplay loop. And Neuvillette is sort of... Well, he shoots a laser. His skill and his burst barely deal any damage, even though it still scales off HP like it's charged. You know, all of his damage is coming from using the droplets that spawn from his skill and his burst in order to do more charges, which deal crazy damage to boot. You know, even... It's crazy how much damage he deals just by himself, even. And, you know, using them before they disappear and making sure you have a good balance, especially since his burst cost is high. His burst cost is 80 for something that deals basically no damage. I mean, to be fair, I guess you can't exactly separate the fact that booster DPS crazy by spawning a bunch of droplets, which you charge it up faster, but even then, honestly. But, like I was saying, you know, there are plenty of people who play as male characters or female characters specifically, you know, disregarding the possibility, for example, you know, a female player who finds the female characters attractive, who play characters of the same gender as them to better project onto the world, especially because Travelers, honestly, I said this earlier, kind of hard to actually project on. They are literally, in my opinion, kind of the hardest character to project on. They are older than literally every other character, and explicitly non-human, even if they look like it. And the funny thing about it is that naming Wanderer is arguably more impactful than naming the Traveler. Because when you name Wanderer, that is his real name from now on. It isn't reflected everywhere in gameplay. But, yeah, exactly. Well, honestly, kind of like with Inazuma, they give you the option for the Traveler to be a bit snarkier in the last few Fontaine quests, which I do appreciate. And also gave them a few more just lines. But aside from that, they're literally an isekai space god. You know, the extent of projecting on the Traveler is the isekai aspect, and even then, it's basically an in-multiverse isekai. Well, it's not a text option. The Travelers actually had actual lines in these last few cases. Which, it's some progress. It's slow and steady progress. But it's just, like I said, it's honestly easier in a lot of cases to project yourself onto characters who are not the Traveler. Because, like I said, you know, Wanderer, even if it isn't reflected all the time in, you know, obviously voice lines, but also other gameplay, the name you give him is now his real name in the context of your instance of the game. And with the Traveler, it's explicitly a pseudonym. Traveler and the siblings still address each other as Lumine and Ether. It's explicitly not their real name. Ideally. Happen. Okay, well, we can keep going now. Threatening letter. Seems to be held imprisoned here. Gonna be okay. Worried, protecting her as we speak. Chlorinde mentioned. Yeah. Also, Rathesli and Chlorinde, a lot of people ship them together because they had a lot of moments together in the 4th Archon quest for Fontaine, you know, one of the ones that was released this patch. And it's basically like Ito Sara done again and done right. Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, Hu Tao Kinney speaking in the chat right now. Anything you can do about this? Nurse, deal with a criminal. Leslie. Now, Sigwin, also she has a gun. It was very, very funny, because we saw Chlorinde in the trailer, and it's sort of, okay, we're getting one character in Fontaine who just has a gun. And then I found out that voice lines mentioned, and dialogue mentioned Chevreuse having a musket. You know, Chevreuse, we haven't seen her yet, though. Having a musket, okay, 2 characters with guns. And then an NPC mentions Navia being good with marksmanship, which is, you know, aiming in a specifically firearm context. And I was sort of, okay, 3 characters with guns. And then Sigwin pulled out a gun. And then I realized it was going to be 4. Yeah, it's alright. It's... I wonder what kind of playstyle she'll have, because as a nurse, I guess you would expect, okay, support. But there's no way that they're gonna not have her uniquely designed gun that she actually uses as part of her kit. It's not like Heizo's Jite, which, you know, the little sort of blunt dagger and club he holds, which, you know, you don't see him use in any real context. You know, to be fair, I didn't do his hangout. And also the fact... I didn't say I was a Hutao Kenny. I said you're a Hutao Kenny. But Jite oftentimes was not even used as a weapon by, real-life Japanese police back when it was in use. It was literally a badge of office. Oh, okay, you forgot about your own. Okay. Transfer a cord, instrument your debt. It's a chance to ask for something important. Still a criminal. Letter sentence rejected. Remember you. A few times, a lot to say. I do like that to the infirmary. It's nice to be back in the prison. Dark areas, don't trip over anything. I feel that. Yai specifically is kind of funny. I would not have guessed that, though. I mean, you are an inveterate prankster, so I guess I can see that. Absolute gremlin moment. I was about to say that, honestly, I liked... He actually does a pretty different voice. What I like is that he sounds a good deal different. He's not nearly as gruff playing Rethesli, at least in my opinion, as he is playing Jotaro. I guess that said, I guess I've only really ever heard Part 3 Jotaro. Part 4 Jotaro might be a good deal closer to this. Kazu's Peak. I could see Yoimiya, especially in an aspirational kind of sense. But what I mean is, it's easy to try to read it onto him, but at least in my opinion, the voice he does is pretty different. Unless you're going to go into falsetto or do a voice-damaging affectation, that's a good amount of difference between the same person. Because, a person's voice is their voice. You can change it, but it's largely a matter of tone. If you listen, you can tell it's the same guy, but it's the same guy playing a different character and speaking differently, as differently as you really can as a result. And, there are people like Mel Blanc, who played Bugs Bunny and pretty much every other character in Looney Tunes. The man of 100 voices. But a lot of that was also, the use of accents and affectations, which go a long way to making a voice seem different. But I do like that even though his voice is pretty different from Jotaro, at least in my opinion, it's subjective. I like that they still have it. He does a yada yada in the Archon quest, and he has an ora ora as one of his combat lines. You can see in the trailer for 4.1, and I like that. They know that a lot of people are interested in him because OMG Jotaro, but they still let him be his own character. Even if, to be fair, he does still literally have delinquent energy. Mutual aid network. Huh. Interesting. Out of here soon. So what is she going to... If I recall correctly, she was mentioned in the report of the smugglers earlier. Yeah, I won't lie, a big reason I'm rolling for Rethesli, beyond the fact that I do roll for everyone that I don't already have 5-star-wise, is that he was the voice actor of Jotaro in the most iconic portrayal of him. He was a JoJo fan in recovery, albeit one who read the manga instead of watching the show. Get anything to drink? Not that thirsty, but thanks anyway. Hydrated even before that, some tea, a lot to talk about. Tea from Rethesli, or like one of her awful milkshakes? Milk as always. That is a adorable character trait, passed by earlier. Much as they were, quite familiar. So that would have been from the flashback. I didn't even check. Sight for sore eyes. News from you. I guess it makes sense. And oh, he's walking on his own. That's fun. Is he gonna keep moving around anymore, or? But like I said, Cecily visited the fortress. Exceptional measures have caused him too much trouble. But the last time he was here in the Archon quest, all the inhabitants, criminal and non-criminal, had basically cleared out because of the flooding primordial seawater, so they wouldn't have seen him. In fact, they don't. So where is... So she's moved out of the way, so she must be monitoring Neuvillette. So yeah, it's the Mutual Aid Network. This badge over here is... Oh, that's actually really funny. So that looks kind of like the... Let me check the... Co-op achievements, because I think one of... Meetings in Outrealm one is going to be... It's actually not. Let me see. Okay, it actually doesn't. What it does remind me of, and kill me for saying this, it's that handshake. I mean, beyond being the emoji, you know, the greenish color reminds me of the FGO friend point icon. Kill me for that. Need for that Gordas badge you're wearing. Interested in the mutual aid network. Like history 400 years ago. Probably the people trying to get rid of the Melusines. Remember, reputation like family. Just doings as much as just. Organization defends, serious crimes, natural disadvantage, powerful. Stick together. I wonder how much of that is just a straight lie. Criminal Domenico and save the other criminals to rebel against Neuvillette. I've heard a few. But most of them, at least in my opinion, are limited to the English version. I've been playing with a Japanese voice track for basically 2 years now. And it's always been at least good. Where was that? Okay, so they seem sus. They were monitoring us. From the network, learn more. Here's our flyer. Help each other. Do all you can to further judge this. Test just judgment. Missions free, no compulsory group events. Exercising, tutoring, and studying. It's up to the crimes. Encourage, support, welcome the future. Oh, I think I heard that. Yeah, that just makes me feel better about my choices of voice track. Change, book is for you. Come and sign up anytime. Actually did not get a book. Wonder if it's gonna come up in the quest. Interested in joining? Don't think so. Oh, we actually, no, we did. This took it that long. Oh my goodness. Let's see that. Enthusiastic principles looks a bit familiar. That would be, well, it's the badge we saw, but... Huh. Criminals. Oriole? Well, maybe the other guys... the other criminals might have been wearing that, but... The Flo Sandra guys, but... Can't exactly go back and look now. Review old footage. They're wearing first president. Something called a Medal of Peace. Oh, so that would have been the V guy, the old guard guy who avenged Carol. Medal of Peace, amazing person. Look for each other, a lot of respect for him. So we gotta go back to Neuvillette now. Head back and talk to Neuvillette. Okay. Over and what's she gonna say? Make grievances, rule network, crimes, be miserable. Meaningful things. Okay. Oh, and we can actually see... We actually saw some of those earlier. You can see an emblem emblazoned on those crates. Prisoners here do have a lot of autonomy. Okay. It's not just speculation, they do. Okay. This is... interesting, because it's established in lore, you know, they literally tell you that a lot of prisoners here end up staying in the prison, because it is kind of an autonomous society. It is an autonomous society, because they, you know, either don't think or know that they can't readjust to life on the outside, which is interesting, but it's also explicitly, you know, result of the dragons. Well, earlier in the quest, it's mentioned that we encountered multiple sovereigns before, and that isn't just a translation quirk, which I think it probably isn't. The localization is actually pretty good, and oftentimes reveals things that makes things clearer, but at least things that are known and planned behind the scenes. But that we've encountered multiple sovereigns, which implies that at least one out of Dval and Razda is a sovereign, which is essentially... At the end of Neuvillette's quest, he explains it, but they were talking about it as far back as Encon in the Inn, its event. I mentioned it again when they hit a second story quest, because the second Sumeru Trance boss is basically, ultimately kind of a trash mob. The story quest is largely about Apep, who is the Dendro Sovereign in Sumeru. And basically the dragons, or the sovereigns, were, I assume 7, but they did have a king, Nibelung. Not sure whether he would have an element or not, but essentially that there were elemental dragons that existed before the Archons showed up, before Celestia even showed up, who were defeated by Celestia, and their power was stolen to make the Gnosis and give the Archons power. You know, assuming, because we don't even actually know for sure yet, and that's still a mystery, you know, assuming the Gnosis actually gives the Archons any kind of power. Because Raiden, all of her abilities are completely independent of the Gnosis. You know, she got rid of it very early on, at least before we saw her fight us. And she's still a nightmare. You know, maybe she might not have been able to cut... No, actually, no. She was able to cut explicitly in lore. She was able to slice multiple islands down the middle and kill Orobashi with one big slash without the Gnosis, because she did that before, if I recall correctly, before she was even an Archon, before she inherited the position. I don't know. I'd need to find the time. But essentially, the reason Neuvillette, although being quite strong, he explicitly says that his power is limited by the fact that his quote-unquote ancient dragon's authority was stolen by Celestia and given to the Archons through the Gnosis, or at least made into the Gnosis. And basically, since Neuvillette is a successor, what I'd say is that Ozda is probably an original sovereign, and Dvalin is probably a successor like Neuvillette is, but not in a human form. Yeah, Celestia, they might not be the bad guys, but they're definitely not the good guys. You know, we done knew as far back as Dragonspine. Though even that, especially in retrospect, now that we know more about, you know, the fact that the Abyss breaking out was a real threat that had to be fought, at least by someone, if not by Celestia themselves, it does make the Dragonspine story a bit more complicated. Yes, well, they were the origin point of those elemental powers, but those powers were explicitly taken from them. Yeah. I mean, it is implied that we're going to go back to Celestia and beat the crap out of the Sustainer. So, the network Metal Piece goes before two Curl and Valtrin. So it was literally only two of them. The Fire, Bond, and Valtrin. Okay. So when he was sent here, it was by... Yeah! Especially, you know... Can't hype him up too much, but especially compared to Zelda. I like the fact that Genshin has consistent, planned-out lore that is thematic and ties into the various meanings of the story, but it isn't obtrusive. There are a lot of people who say, why is all the cool lore hidden behind artifacts and item descriptions and world quests? Why don't they tell you in the Archon quest? Well, they do tell you in the Archon quest things that pertain to the Archon quest specifically. You know, we got a lore dump in this one about the Sovereigns. That was new information too. And it was for people who don't care about the lore beyond its immediate pertinence to the story. Beyond its immediate pertinence to the story, that's all they needed to know. You know, it's a nearly impossible balance to strike, but if they wanted to give everything in the Archon quests, it would be over half, at least, just exposition and lore dumping. And people complain enough already about how long the quests are. Like, that is a lose-lose situation. Let's find Domenico, talk to him first, get to the bottom of the situation. Okay. But yeah, it's a silly situation. Personally, I think they strike a good balance, given that it is, by nature, impossible to satisfy everyone. Yeah. And honestly, I don't care as much about the fact that the Traveler is not much of a character, because I don't care much about the Traveler. Yeah, the Traveler might not be a self-insert character, but they are a viewpoint character. You know, the fact that none of the other playable characters are the protagonist who has to go everywhere allows them to have stories that are connected to their nations in question, and, you know, not run on for 7 years. You know, I like that the Traveler's story goes on, you know, as explicitly has a very long projection, but, you know, it's good that not everyone is like that. It's fine, gentleman Domenico. Someone sarcastic. Explain everything. Neuvillette. Say what's here too. Like, kill me.
ただいくつか質問がしたいだけだ。メルジームに脅迫状を送ったのはすでにエさんが自白している。
No need to keep hiding.
今一度と
Threat letter and
背後には
why?
誰がい
It's
る
pointing strings.
あんたら
For me, something I haven't done.
自分の
Okay.
立場をわきまえ
Validate
た
your
方がいい。
situation. Personally investigating your case.
あんたがメロピ
On
デ
the
を
rest
塞
of
い
the
です。
fortress, and you do it this
確かに
well. Act
少
on
し
impulse
衝動
must
的だった
ensure
か
my
もな
safety.
安心するといいさ。
Reasonable people here, small
ちょっ
business
とした
first.
商売だったんだ
Over goods, a generous
俺
sum
に
of
ブーツ
mora
の
in
運搬を頼む
return.
けど何回か
In
運んだ
trips,
後
Marshal say phantoms,
マリショーセ
smuggling
ファントム
prohibited
捕
items
まって
put on trial.
ブーツ納得いか
Any
な
of
かった
that, rightfully absolved from guilt, locked me up here, got no hands on my goods. Yeah, they were. Everyone involved on the evil side, quote unquote, was. It was a smuggling case. Okay. It started, as you probably saw, with basically a letter of threat being sent to a Nelson cop. That were hopeless.
当初のター
So
ゲ
it
ット
was
はヌーヴィレ
Neuvillette,
ット
declared
だった
guilty.
メロピ
Didn't
デ要
strike
塞に
back,
いる
but that
囚人
didn't
も
work, so
み
they
んなヌ
decided
ーヴィレット
to
もさばいてんだからな
hurt him by targeting a Nelson. Troy
誰も俺の
network,
話に
trying
乗
to
ってあ
challenge
れ
me.
これ
Okay,
考
so he
えた末
isn't
に
part of the network.
メルジ
Okay.
ーヌに目をつけること
Seems
が
to
当
salvage
時
things.
あのキ
Escaped
ア
it.
ラって
Okay,
や
so
つが
that is the
俺の
connection.
ブツを
Confiscated
差
this
し
for
押さえて
inspection.
調べたのを
Letter
思い
meant
出
to
して
contact
もちろん
family.
その手紙は A さんに当
Threat
てた
letter
もので
enforcer resigned
そ
from
れ
the
らのことは
say.
全て君の考
So
え
it really is just
その間
pure vengeance.
怪しい者が接触
Thought suspicious people?
では
No.
君に運搬を依
So
頼
long
した
as
者
Scandal
と
had
は
been caught, and that's all I know. This is actually a simple story. Back to the
ドメニコ
detention
を監
center.
視の
Deal
と
with
ころ
them
に連れて
later.
行ってくれ。
Okay. Does make sense that there are higher security areas in this kind of open prison.
ヌ
The
ビレット
shadowy
さんが
faction
案じてい
capitalized
た
on
の
the
は
delicate situation with the Melusines, greater
メル
chaos.
ジーヌを利用して
いかに
Similar incident in the past, prepare for any
似たよう
possibility.
なことっていうのは
No problem.
大
Thanks for
体
popping
どれ
in.
くらい前のことだ。
Always good conversation. Sonaragan. And sleep well.
400年
So
以
that
上前
400 years. Yep, that's memory for you.
時間
This,
はあら
a
ゆ
lot
る
of
ものを
things,
変える
everything's different now. Exactly like we saw earlier in the quest. Everyone loves Melusines.
400年以上前、
Melusines who brought to Fontaine, the outliers in society.
あんたが連れてきたメルジーヌも
Yeah, exactly.
フォンテーヌの
Take
人
care of
間世
yourself.
界にとっては異類の存在だ
If。you're gonna prioritize sleep, you know. Like I said, can't do everything, so at least do the things you are doing well.
しかし
Society
今
present
となっ
day
ちゃ
threaten the safety of the Melusines. People
メ
will
ル
just
ジー
sit
ヌを
back and
脅
do
す者
nothing.
がいれば
Choices from before.
確
Okay.
かに
So people standing up for Melusines on their way back to the Flame Harmonia.
ヌビレットさん、
Introduced to Fontaine,
メル
reflected
ジー
their
ヌはあん
attitude
たが
towards
直
you.
々にフォンテーヌまで連れてきた種族だ。
It might have been a bit
人々が見せる
unsubtle,
彼女らへの
but I
態度
honestly like that.
社会があんたをどう見るか反映したものだろ
One,
う。
when we saw the people talking about Melusines in a positive light, they didn't explicitly have Palmado the Traveler say, look, everyone loves Melusines. You know, frankly, it was obvious enough from the repetition, but also that it did come back
昔
here.
民
Trust
衆
saw
が
the
メル
face
ジーヌ
about
を
the
信
Chief
用
Justice.
500年近くの時が
Trial
流
with
れ
impartiality, each time, nonsense
今の人々
put on,
は
reservation, symbol of the
そ
law.
して
Except for the Tartaglia,
今や
I
あん
guess.
たが行う
Fontaine,
決定は
the
な
whole
るほどな
nation. Domenico won't ever
それ
happen
は私
again.
にとって過分な
Fulfilling
褒
my
める価値も
duties, not special
特別
worthy
な
of
点もない
praise, promises I made, searching for answers
また
through my
決してそのよう
judgments.
に
High
尊
regard,
敬される
complexity
べ
of
きで
human
はない
emotions and willpower exceed those of mine.
人間の感情と意志は
Ones who
そ
deserve
ん
my
な謙
respect.
虚になることはない
Honest state of
あ
affairs
ん
says
た
it
も
all. No longer that outsider
あの頃のような
investigation.
一理あ
To
る
lend you a hand, a fair point.
説明に感謝
My
する
doubts should get going.
もう行くの
Are
か
we
よ
not gonna get a chance
そ
to
う
actually
急いで
use
帰ら
them?
なくてもいい
It's
んじゃ
like
ないか
Albedo, and they think the fact that it's at the same time
お
as
茶
this
でも
test
飲ん
run
でい
is
ったら
enough.
いい
No, they
必要
have
は
a
ない
tea.
こ
All
こ
too
には
well.
心から食材
Over
私が
resentment.
ここにいる時間は
An
短ければ
unwanted
なら
disturbance.
規則
Some
の
more
一
things to say? Please go
一つは
ahead. Guard who
あ
helped him. Let you
そう確かに
speak.
看守はパレメ
Harmonia.
ルモリアから
Should
配
earlier
属さ
on
れた
personal
人員で
business
は
in
そ
your
いつはよ
hands.
かった
But easier, not going to.
何
Imagination
上
went
の
wild.
人間は同情の念を
Sympathize
抱
at
きや
high
その
risk.
監視には
Precautions in the
問題ない
future. Okay.
よし
There.
解決
Anything you
もう
want to
一つ
say?
は
Mutual aid network. Badges look
俺は
familiar. Small
メロ
gang.
ピデ
Not
要
great
塞を引
number.
き昔
They were good guys. Vouching
彼らの現
imprisonment.
存する記録による
Mince
と
disciplined
その
model
者は服
prisoner.
役中ずっと
Like the
従順で
mom from Joe Jolian.
亡くなるまでつまり
Verbal aggression from behavior in court. Oh, so this is sort of a posthumous
審
reconciliation.
判の時
What feelings were
私は彼の複雑な感情に気づいて
Fukuzatsu na kanjo?
彼は
Complicated
憎しみに満
feelings.
ちていたし
Resentment, every
私
right
を
to
憎
feel
む
that
理由もあ
way.
った
俺の予想だ
But
が
putting on an act.
ヌビレットさんとボートランはかつて
Insubordinate.
とても親しい
Make
上
an
下
impartial
関係にあっ
judgment.
た彼が憎しみの感情を表せば当時
So it was a sacrifice for
まだあんたを
his.
見定めていた民
Oh,
からしたら
interesting.
それ
Honestly,
には計り知
this
れな
might be
か
a
っ
little
たはずだ
too close to the Dio one. very meaningful one. Feigning guilt.
俺の話したかった2つは
特に言うことは
I
な
mean,
い
to be fair, Dia's
感謝の言
dad
葉
had
以外はな
feigned guilt. Dia just did not like him. See my gratitude, that is.
さて
And let us head back. No need to see us off. Honestly, it does not seem like they're actually gonna give us combat.
またな
Unless someone just ambushes us. Please take care, Madonna. Okay, so we just got sent out like that. Interesting. Go back in. Okay, we just got teleported. This is
あの審判について触れることはあまりないが私はずっと
conversation,
カロレと
conversation.
ボートランのことを嘆いてきた
Monologue.
ボートランが法廷で放った
Monologue
言葉
urging me
が
on to do
し
something.
ばし頭の中で響き渡るのだ
You know that?
何かせねばと
Yes, we got that.
そう私に思わせる
Seru?
でも
Do you
公
know?
爵の話
Isn't
じゃ
that a good thing?
そいつはお前を恨んでなかったみたいだよ。それっていいことじゃないか。
リオセスリ殿の考えは大方理解した
Tell me. What is
だ
that?
があの言葉が私の
Describe
心をかき乱
surprise,
す
really fear and regret,
どう
understands
言葉にすればいいかわからないが
He is understanding himself a bit
驚き
better.
喜
Fear
び
Oh,
恐
right.
怖
We still need the cutscene. But where the
数々の感情
Fiorina
が混ざり
line
合って
from the
ようやく
trailer is.
何かを少し理解できそうだ
It's really fear and regret.
君たちの考えも
Let's
聞
do
い
what
て
do you
みたい
think of me? We think you
君たち
are
の目には
perfect in every
私は
way.
どのように映
An
っている
ironic peek. Kiss, kiss.
お
As
い
I
らは
said,
公爵の言ったことが正しいと思うぞ。
Okay.
最高
every
審
single
判
one
官
of
と
your
して
trials makes
お
an
前
impact
の
on
審判
Fontaine.
は
What
ど
do you
れも
think?
多い。
Comments.
その
Sono. Ah, voice line. Person complaining about Traveler not having voice lines. They're not going to
こ
see
れだ
this.
け多くの審判
Impression on you?
逆に
Maybe
ヌ
who
ビレ
you
ッ
are
トにも
today.
影響を与えてきたんじゃない
Not Vajai? Interesting. So, very not such his identity passed between him and humans as long as it's blurred. Chiri? Doko?
前にも言っ
Assumption
たが
Nani? Potions
私は
cannot
感
fully
情を
understand
表現するのが
myself.
得意ではない
Hyugen Suru de
それ
Wanai.
は自分自身でさえ完全に理解していないからだだが
Naga?
君の判断を信
Notice
じ
the
よ
changes that have occurred upon
う
my
いつからか
person.
私の身には変化が起きていた
Okay.
これらの変化は
Specific
ある
occurrence
具
result
体
of
的な事
time
件によるもの
itself.
ではなく
It's kind
時
of
間
like
そのものによるものかもしれない
erosion in a good way.
この問題につい
Wanna
て
bite this further?
真
Thank you
剣に
both.
向き合ってみ
I mean, I guess it makes sense, you know. Good change versus a bad change.
あれ
Oh, it's raining. He's
傘
gonna
持
cry.
ってないぞ。
Umbrella.
土砂降りにならないうちに
Stop the
早く
rain
行こう
there.
ぜ。
あ
This is the Fiorina flashback, isn't it? This music is nice. Let me see. Oh? He's reading the emotions of the rain, isn't he? Detail is gonna come back. Another flashback. Oh. Because of the
また雨
time.
か今年でもう何回目だ
It's
旅
weather,
行の計
travel
画が
plans.
水の泡だ
Maybe he knows, or... What
今
is
朝
it?
の新聞見た
News this morning.
あなた
I'm
洗
not
濯
that
物を
quick.
一緒に入れてくれる
Putting on the clotheslines. Oh, maybe he had to learn to
いつに
control
なっ
that.
たらやん
It stops. Loses his ability to control it when he's crying, though. Possibly.
水流泣かないで
Yeah, exactly. To an extent. Legend, or... Huh. Not specifically, even being a repetition of what we heard earlier. Over by Elenos, and this is...
奴らは魔獣を活性化させるつもりだ。この
Well,
こ
it's
と
not,
を
that's
審
just a
判官
normal
様に報
dog,
告せれ
isn't
ば
it? Monster War. Is that... Not the Narcissus Coin's Ordo mentioned.
俺にとってはいい場
Place
所
for
だ
me. Okay. Okay, so that would have been Seymour, wouldn't it? Wait. Time and... Oh. Oh, it's back.
まだ答えをくれてない。
ヌビレットさんは
Did not expect to
フォ
see
ンテ
that
ー
one
ヌの
again.
構成のシンボルと言っても過言ではあり
Oh,
ませ
he
ん。
knows you again.
注意しておけ。奴は厄介だ。
So oh, so... Oh. He's not... Aside from
全
Nadia,
く違う種族と生
he's
活するなんてで
he's
きるわ
not
けない
seeing
で
it
しょ
directly, he's
メルジーノを
reading
脅し
the
てるや
emotions.
つ出てこい
Oh. Okay.
人の社会で君は嬉しいことも悲しいこと
Here's
も
that
目に
line.
するだろ
Here's the
う。いつ
Fiorina
か
line.
君が多くの過去を受け入れた時、 この国の歴史を代表して全てを審判する資格を得る。おはようございます、ヌビレット様。雨季ももうじき終わりで、そろそろ晴れるそうですよ。
晴天が心を晴れやかにすることを祈ります。
Then again, it's gonna think. It's kind of like all things Cowboy Bebop. You know, what would it be like to live your past, live your life, constantly, you know, not just remembering your past, but seeing literal images of it. Wow. I find it really interesting how hard they're setting up the reins there. The Narcissus Kreutz Ordo questline, you know, every big world quest so far. That's what I've heard. Oh! Friends are all back together. Nice. Gal pals. That essentially... Even the new ones, which I haven't done yet, everything is about the Narcissus Kreutz Ordo. You know, the people who tried to create a sort of abyssal neo-humans. Also, apparently, the fact that Arlecchino is basically these black claws instead of hands apparently suggests that she was basically experimented on as a child. Might have been why she became, you know, the protector of children. Which, interestingly enough, implies, arguably, that she's like 400 years old. So those experiments would have ended a while ago. Given that the Narcissus Kreutz Ordo ended a while ago. Yeah. That not the Navia moment, that cutscene. Was not expecting to see that. That hit me like a ton of bricks. But like I was saying, Neuvillette, I wonder if, I mean, they did mention Jacob, who was apparently going to come back in the initial second Fontaine Archon quest from 4.0, but I wonder how, you know, whether the conclusion of the Archon quest is going to have something to do about that, or even if, you know, if we get an interlude, whether it's going to be a way to tie everything together. Because if Arlecchino is playable, assuming she's going to be, you know, she might be the second Trounce domain, and if she's literally the subject of Ordo experiments, I assume the Ordo will be a big part of whatever quest they give her or put her in. Letter resolved. Listen to Brittany letter. Should be safe now. It's just pure revenge. So. For own accord. Oh, nice, because they all love Neuvillette. Playing Harmonia offered to protect more than 50 people. Look out for danger. It's cute. Oh my, an easy stayed side safe in there. Relief. Looks like the dust is finally settled. Exclusive interview. How you celebrate? Well, consider it. Which is a no. Schedule is full available next month. Oh, he actually did. Mean it. Okay. Ability. Okay. Yatta. Okay. That was an awfully lengthy line. She literally just said, oh yeah, basically. Communicate. Concerns of all. Okay. Turn to the play Harmonia, and what are they talking about? Okay. Come on. Interview. Listen, Shuze. What should I ask him? Tune and ask away. Declining question can't answer. Give all of them a shot. Smart, smart, smart. Okay. Well, actually, we can get expedition rewards. That's funny. Okay. Let's keep on going. Go over here. Okay. I do feel like trying out a Neuvillette team. We'll see. I guess that would... Said that would mean no Kazuha. I don't know. I mean, in the end, I could just use another Animo on the other side. Honestly, he needs the bonus more since he's not triggering. Who needs the bonus more? Oh my goodness, she fell asleep standing up. How much of that is a gag and how much of that is not wanting to make another animation? Okay. Neuvillette-sama.
ごめんなさい。
Gomenasai.
うっかり寝ちゃってた。
Kanatsuchatteta.
気にするな。
Yasuda. Send your signal.
それ
Arigato.
から旅人のお兄ちゃんも
Arigato, Nichanto.
タイマンお姉
Taimon
ちゃんもありがとう。
Nice to meet you.
脅
Hope
迫
you're
状を送っ
safe.
たのは
I'm gonna go
ド
send
メ
her
ニ
the
コ。
ladder. Remember
そんな
forgets
ことよ
things
り
in my
カロレお
dreams.
姉ちゃん
And
の
actually
夢を見
between
たよ。
Neuvillette.
お
Maybe
か
there's
しい
another
な。
ability to sense things
カ
in the
ロレ
water.
おね。
Long time. Oh, doesn't even
で
know
も
she's
夢
dead.
で会えたから
Finally
カロレ
come
お姉ちゃん
true.
の夢が。
君
Are
の
you happy
喜びは
too? Delightful moment. Happy too?
そう
Let it go
だ。モ
out
デル
now.
になってあげる。
Oh,
も
no.
ちろんいい。
You
じゃあ行
go.
くね。
Good there,
Ah.
Jolly, good there.
Mata.
See you next time. Okay. You know, those adorable, silly little pet characters. Okay, mascot characters. Okay, cool. Means the past day completed. Is he gonna be... And he's still over there, so we can obtain the reply note. Reply note is from Fesley, only for personal reasons. We'll be back in a... Oh, Furina's reply. Oh. Right, it's Furina. Reasons, oh me, oh my. Chief Justice finally come to his senses. Once, go out more often, get to know your people better. Unfortunate happens, new characters along the way. Isn't too bad now, is it? Interesting. What over here? Can't fathom what goes on her head sometimes. Okay, so it's just that. Same line again.
まったく。
Mataku? What does she actually say?
まったく。
Mataku?
たまに彼女のことがわからなくなる。
Wakarunda? That would be more like... I cannot understand her words. Or I do not understand her words. Okay. Go over. I think I could do Abyss tonight. But I do more or less have a hard... 4-hour limit due to other people being in the house, and I don't know how long Abyss would take me. You know, I could always do 9 to 11, do 12 on some other date, but I don't like splitting things like that. Let me see. So it does... I don't think Kimia does. Talk to you. Do for it. Okay, he does, even though he's actually far away enough that isn't really going to be relevant. Okay. Okay, yeah. Crafted our condensed resin. Go over center expeditions through. Okay. She annoys us. Okay. Funny clockwork puppet question. Okay. Okay, keep on going. Come on, come on. Send our expeditions back through, and there we go. Got to make sure we get as much more as possible when you've got lots of characters to build and roll for and all sorts of things, I guess. Okay. Got pretty much everything we could for today, so I think I will go and, in the interest of doing something with the time we have, let's go in and submerge ruins. So that actually that over there for some reason. That's silly. It's interesting that, I guess it makes sense that with the Barrel region, there is literally nothing. As in the area that is literally Elenos's body. You know, decayed and petrified. Nothing in the Archon quest sends us there. The same is kind of true. Is true of... You know, nothing in the story quest or the Archon quest sends us there. Which is basically just like the Institute of Natural Research. I guess maybe their Thesly one might change things. You know, last patch we did not get a mid-patch story quest, because the only 5-star we got was released at the start of the patch, but I don't know. And that's just our stuff for today. Okay, come on. Some mail, and that's just 2 adventures experience, you know. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay. Go over and keep on going. 10:20. So if we get Rithesli, we will have... Well, actually, will we? I guess with Battle Pass and rewards and other things, especially paid Battle Pass, you know, it will be enough narrowly. But if I got Furina, I would probably need to do a bit more experience grinding, because you need around 400 purple books worth. You know, a red book is exactly 1/4 of the XP value of a purple book. a little over 400 if I recall correctly, so even worse in order to get a character to level 90. And I guess you could say, you know, don't level them to 90, but it's pretty important to me. Especially for characters who are going to be reaction triggers that are, you know, just melt or vaporize. Okay. Let's go and use this team again. Okay. Come on, come on. Okay. Keep on going. Okay. Okay. Continue onwards and get a little bit of this. Okay. Cool. We have... Oh my goodness, nose is running again. It might not be as bad as the headache and the high fever. It's honestly more annoying. Requires constant maintenance instead of just taking ibuprofen every few hours. So. Okay. Toshua, okay, nice. Over here. Get them up like this. That was good. That crit? I feel like that would have crit. That. Where's the other one? Oh, it's actually over there. I was looking in entirely the wrong place. Okay, the laser's still killed. That's nice. Okay. Oh, because the shield went out. Okay. Let's see. This should probably be able to get max. Yeah, that. 9, 3, 10, 4. Okay, actually. Should be enough to get 36 in total then. Probably. Okay. Huh. These two honestly look quite similar. I'm sure people have noticed in the past. That's a decent amount of diligence teachings. I think we've just accumulated those passively. Maybe I got them for Yao, just didn't level her. I don't know. Could use those for Chongyun eventually. Maybe I got them for the wrong person or something. Let's see. Actually, no. That would be 4 and we need. So this will guarantee that we have enough once we actually craft everything, but it is what it is. Okay. Come on, come on. Come on. Okay. Go over and hit you with a big old waterfall. Okay, nice. Swirl. I only swirled one of them. That is kind of strange. Oh, but that wasn't close enough, so it only hit one of them. Oh, that's pretty curious. Okay. Oh, there we go. Heal up a bit. So I really do need to move forward a good amount if I actually do want to group the agents up. Before I wasn't moving forward at all, and the agents just did not get grouped, but honestly that's better than one getting grouped, because that means that they're actually farther away from each other, and that is not great. Okay. 4 over there. Okay. Let's craft 4 of those, and we can have enough on hand to level up Shenhe. Actually, you know, I could just do that now. You know, if I end up getting Ayaka eventually, you know, once they run her again, which I would like to, even if she's honestly probably power creep to a good degree at this point. I would, you know, I would want Shenhe. You know, if I have Shenhe, I should be using Shenhe with her, because, you know, groups like Kaching mains are kind of unclear on the topic. There we go. Okay, there we go. Basically saying that Ganyu and Shenhe are kind of side grades in an Ayaka Freeze team, but more in the sense that each is kind of situational. That, you know, very obviously with Ganyu's quadratic scaling, you know, the fact that if you group up enemies, you know, all of them will receive more hits because of the way her targeting works, and the fact that the icicles are small AoEs. You know, having Ganyu on hand as a sub DPS is better for group content, but for smaller groups, and as well as, you know, straight up single target, that would be for those are bosses who can't even freeze in the first place, that Shenhe does better. So you're not getting that quadratic utility. And of course, you know, the Icy Quill buff is just better in a single target or low target number situation, because if you hit multiple enemies, you're dealing more damage to each, but you're also consuming a stack for every enemy you hit. The worth of it is significantly diminished. I'll say that. Okay. Good. Oh, we need more whopper flower nectars. Okay, we need 27 of those in total. How many can we craft? I haven't actually seen all that many whopper flowers around Fontaine. They don't use them that much anymore. It would be 81 in total, so 55. How many can we? It's not a crazy amount. Someone else needs them soon. Whopper flower nectars are honestly, in my opinion, the single worst material to farm for in the game, just because whopper flowers are actually quite annoying to fight. And to be fair, we have things like the consecrated beasts, which also like them. So the big thing that they share is just until they enter a state, which they will do at their own leisure after a minimum amount of time, just literally waiting and just attacking you. Until that, they've got immensely increased resistances. I mean, mostly their own element, but still. Yeah, they've got decent resistances to everything there. And essentially that other enemies with annoying gimmicks like that can always be bypassed by a good team comp. Or their weapon materials, which you don't need as much of to begin with, and drop more because you're fighting elite enemies. Whopper flowers are a pain, but they're still common enemies. I guess you could say that handguards aren't great either, but they're a specifically regional material that you were going to get a decent amount of, even though their drop rate was garbage. It's because they scattered Nobushi and Kairagi like cockroaches around Inazuma. And besides Scaramouche, which I think makes sense to reflect the fact that his origins are in Inazuma, without that you've got, with Scaramouche, you know, every character uses handguards other than him is an Inazuma character, and, you know, they might change that in the future, but I don't think they really would. Largely just because it wouldn't make sense for any other character. Maybe a duelist character, maybe if they did it for Clorinde. But I also feel like if they did mention in an in-game message that there are Kairagi attacks around Port Ormos, so if we got a coastline expansion, especially now that they've worked out their underwater mechanics, which feels to me like a real reason they would have locked off the coastline until now, we might get more opportunities to fight against Kairagi around that time, depending on, you know, which patch they do what, if they do that in the first place. You know, assuming Clorinde is playable, which, you know, almost certainly is. You know, she has a vision. And aside from Rana, who is an NPC design, we've never had a character with a vision who hasn't been playable, you know. Like I've said before, I don't think it's any coincidence that Senora did not have a vision, or even a delusion like, a vision like delusion, you know. Her delusion is generally theorized to be the funny looking catalyst she uses. But, and that she was not playable, and sadly, as someone who would like to see her playable, almost certainly is not going to be. Okay. Spend a good amount of Mora, so that'll get that weekly mission done for us. Close to 20. We'll get a blue fate tomorrow, which we can immediately toss at the standard banner. Actually, honestly, it would be... Honestly, it is interesting to think in retrospect how strongly elemental every single boss on launch was. The first one who wasn't as elemental, I'd argue, you know, to the extent that statement means anything, was kind of Zhongli. I mean, Primo Geovisha, which it would be really funny if, because what I'm trying to do right now is kind of test out, especially since it would be a single target situation, how well Shenhe would work. I guess I could put a Blizzard set, move it from Ganyu too. Right, since I don't have Ayaka, I'm pretty sure that the only character I actually have a, not even just built, but even allocated, selected Blizzard slot for is going to be Ganyu. Okay, yeah, let's check artifacts. This would be the fastest way to do it. See, filter all, go to Blizzard Strayer. Yeah, exactly. You know, checking all pieces just to make sure it's literally just Ganyu right now. Which means that when I get Ayaka, and when I actually get around to building Kaya, I'll have a lot to use, but even then. Pretty good old C4 Kaya. I'll probably wait, because around early summer next year, I will have his C6. At that point, you know, I'd really want to actually just make him usable. You know, because I use the starter trio a lot when I started out, because I didn't do any rolls until, at least on limited banners, until Raiden. Until Raiden, I had, you know, the starter trio, Traveler, Yanfei, and Kutching. To be fair, I probably should use Kutching more. You know, she was still a 5-star, even if she wasn't any good, arguably, until Dendro. Even then. Okay. Let's go make a quick throwaway party with... Not that one. That one's good. I can't get rid of that. Okay, this is one that I'm fooling around with. Okay. Shenhe and... someone who I could actually kind of use. I guess Shenhe could actually do pretty... Wonder how much damage Changyu would deal with his burst. It's funny to think about. Okay. Juria Sealord. Nothing he's really doing really matters. Okay. Kai over here. Oh, interesting. So if I wanted to... Well, this is over here now. So I wanted to... Well, we'll see. Did that. Oh, I bet Shenhe doesn't even have the right weapon. She's got Moon Piercer on her. It's nice to keep. Okay, let's see. Nice and... Oh, but that... Oh, yeah, the infusion, I forgot just how bad the way that infusion was. Oh my goodness. Okay, so if I... So I can heal up real quick. Yeah, I just want to see how well Primo works. I'm doing Shenhe before Changyu, not just to test out that damage, just because... Now just max my shared uptime. You want to make sure that we got up. Okay, duration 12 seconds, and his Showa Frost field is... Okay, 10 is not bad. Leveling up does increase the duration, which kind of increases its effective duration of the field, because, you know, field and the infusion are effectively, you know, one and the same for most relevant matters. And I do have his shield, but it sucks. His C6 is actually pretty decent, because it is literally a... It gives him a 4th icicle on his Glacial Waltz, which is literally just a straight 33% increase to his burst DPS, which is... And his E's are no joke, but his burst is by far the biggest source of his damage. I forgot to even put artifacts on him too, though did get a little too close. Go over and... Over, I think Ganyu has... Does she have full... I think she has... I have, by the way. Switched out before I did this for Carabert. Wanted to use Kai for that. Oh, right. But that's an off piece for Yelan, not an actual piece. His normals will have a nice crit rate by way of... Okay, interesting. Be relatively short rotations because... What is his... Wait for it to cool down, but the total length of rotation is going to be... Beats duration 8 seconds, but also 15 seconds, but the CD for... That's 20. Okay. Doesn't work all that well with Kai, honestly, because of the cooldown on Shenhe's burst, unless we'll try to not have it up the entire time, but given... yeah. That's why you want to use Shenhe with Ayaka. Yep. Me when the bespoke support for basically one character specifically. It actually doesn't matter all that much, but we'll see. Okay, and let's go over here and try this out. Oh, Chocobo Shigure is not what he wants to be using, but it's kind of okay. Get its damage. A lot of it is definitely just talent levels or the lack thereof. Okay, I didn't notice that that's the problem. That, well, I joked it would be so funny if this was the Ice Primo Geovisha, and then it actually was. And after I'd made my joke, I literally did not notice. Thank you. Okay. So actually, Jade Point would be pretty nice. It does have some resistances, but it's aggressive enough, but not strong enough that I can just keep it on me, honestly. Also, Cryo is a good element to deal with fungi, because it doesn't activate them. I guess Hydra works too, but The number of competent cryo DPSs is not particularly high. Okay, nice. I guess bosses might not be the best way to do it. Okay. This damage isn't amazing, but to be fair for one, we just don't even have our... really have his talents leveled, and Tokabo is a terrible weapon on him. Keep, you know, say all this about wanting to build Kai, and I forget not just the reason why I wanted to do that, but you know how I was going to do that, because part of the reason I wanted to do it is because Kaya, specifically, he actually, arguably, his best 4-star weapon is arguably the silly rank 1 refinement maximum sword you get from leveling up. I mean, from doing Kazu's story quest. Kazu's story quest one. Okay, yeah, this is better. Yeah, because it's all about his attack multipliers. Be able to get down to like halfway. The field's gone, but you get a bit more. With multipliers artifacts, you would have been dealing half damage. But that isn't amazing, but given that Kai is not only a 4-star character, but a 4-star support character who arguably is, you know, you play him as a burst DPS, not an on-fielder, even who can. I would say that was capable. Especially since, like I said, he'd be dealing a little under 100% more damage, because it's... Actually, no, that's not true, because the C6 would help, because it's rank 5, so he'd be dealing about, I would estimate, got them to level 9, he'd be doing around 33% more damage straight. And also just leveling up Chongyun's talents, so that I could, I mean, have more duration on the infusion, which would let him get a few more cryo-infused normal hits. Because, I mean, to be fair, it's not as arguably his best role. I mean, you can do it, though. But his C1 gives him additional crit on cryo-affected enemies, which probably also means frozen. It said cryo and frozen are actually technically separate elements, quote-unquote, in code. You know, you can have... Which is why you can't just proc freeze on enemies with a cryo shield. They have a frozen shield. I'll recall correctly, I recall hearing that during development, either by mistake or in his attempt to make it different, the Iniquitous Baptist, you know, the boss version Lecter, had an actual cryo shield for the first time ever in the game of any enemy. Anyone with an elemental shield, because, you know, enemy shields are not the same as player shields, but... Right, and before I forget, because God knows I probably will, time to put all these artifacts back on Ganyu. Do not want to get in a funny situation where I wonder why my Ganyu is doing precisely 0 damage. Okay. But I think either because it made it too easy, or because it seemed kind of pointless given that bosses cannot be frozen, and I doubt they changed that just for the cryo shield thing. Would not have made sense. Yeah. But either way, I think that'll be it for today. I'm going to switch back to the team I use for doing commissions, and just... He has Kagesurabe, which is probably good. I don't know who has Tokabo now, but there isn't really a reason for... Well, let's check weapons the next time I actually use somebody. Get back to Inazuma to prep myself for Mars comms, and yeah, thank you to everyone who popped in, who is here right now, or isn't here right now, or even those who didn't watch. It's always a good time with everyone on board. So happy Saturagan to you, and see you all later.